our assistant producer here. Oops, I forgot to turn on the video. Let's do that again. All right, now we're live. And let me get the other camera view queued up here. So we are really live now. A second ago you heard us but didn't see us. And I'm joined by Cory, who's our assistant producer here on the channel.
Hi, everyone.
You enjoying yourself so far?
Yes, yes I am.
I'm a great boss, right?
Oh, absolutely,
so,
best.
Good. We'll give you your bonus after the show is over. So,
great.
What we're doing today is Cory has been saving up to build himself a nice computer, and I offered to help him. I'm probably the worst person to help him with this, but nonetheless, he thinks I can do a good job of putting his computer together with him, so we're going to do that. We've got a pretty cool overhead view here that you can see, so you'll see us wrenching around inside of this, and for the purists out there, know that I do have an anti-static wristband which will be put on as we are progressing through this. But what I wanted to do first, I'm going to take my phone out here for a second, and the reason is this is being shot completely via NDI, which is something I've covered on the channel already, but this is the first production I've done that is completely NDI, which means that all of the cameras that you see on the stream today are not connecting to my TriCaster with HDMI, but are going over the network. And I can even bring my phone in here, as you can see, to get us a closer view on things. I'm not too crazy about the phone app with this NDI thing. It's a little jaggedy here, but we are testing out something that is working really well. This is the PTZ Optics NDI camera. Now check this out. I'm going to hit a button here, and you see the camera. It's moving itself automatically. I've got it preset to a number of positions here. So right now it's on the seated position, and if I go over to this one here, that's the stand-up position. So well, that's the wrong one. It must be this one. This is the stand-up position so that we can stand up and work on things. I can control it from here also, so I can go over to the little position slider here and adjust the angle if I want. So lots of cool stuff, and because I have these presets in here, I can go right back to my starting position. We didn't like the set today just because we ran out of time, so we're just using house lights here, but I think it's working pretty nicely, and we've got all these different camera options to bring into the mix, including the phone if need be. And then, of course, we've got the overhead view, and to do that, I have a camera in the ceiling. And what I did is I got one of these little mounts that connects up to the ceiling tiles, and this camera is probably not ideal for this. And more I think about it, it's probably a little dangerous for the motherboard if it happens to fall down, but it is clamped on pretty nicely. It uses the same kind of connections that you'd use for studio lights, but I think what I'll probably do is get a smaller camera that's very lightweight to fit up there. And then unfortunately this camera is wired, but it goes down through the ceiling tile here over to the Connect Spark that we reviewed a few weeks ago. This connects into the network, and that goes back to the messy wiring here for the TriCaster, which is what I usually use to record things. So typically, these cameras here are connected via HDMI to the TriCaster, but because it supports this NDI stuff, we can also use the other camera. Cool, though, about the TriCaster here is that this NDI, of course, is working with the TriCaster, but it also, let me get my stand-up view here. Let's switch back to camera 6. Let me go over to our view change here. Look at that. This also works with the open broadcaster, so you can bring your cameras into OBX just like you do this. So you don't need a fancy TriCaster to do that. So in any event, we're going to get building here, and we're going to try to keep an eye on the chat here as we go to get all this working. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And we've got people all over the place, so that's great. We lost audio for a second, and we'll have to figure out why that was. And it could be, let me check my audio mixer. So to make sure I didn't have any bad settings on here. Because I haven't used these other inputs before, so it might be possible that it's doing a follow audio on here. So let's just make sure the routing is, yeah, I think we're okay on that. People lost audio briefly, but it looks like we're okay. All right. So let's get moving here and see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to begin first with the motherboard, and I'm going to switch over to our overhead view here and get going with that. Now, before we do anything, let's put on the wrist strap here so we don't cause any electrical issues. Now, there's a list of stuff in the description for what we chose for this build. And one of the challenges that Cory ran into was that he Actually, you know what? We're going to do the power supply first. One of the issues that Cory ran into was that the GPUs are so expensive right now due to all the issues that are going on out there. The only choice on the build here that I did an override of Cory's choices on was the power supply. He had a 650 watt power supply. I had the 750 here we're going to use because I felt that one would be better for this. So why don't we get out a screwdriver here so we can get this going, and I'll try to keep my head out of there. Where did that screwdriver go, the big one? Right here. So we're going to go in here and just attach up the first part here. I'm going to have Cory keep an eye on the stream there. All right, we should be back now. We have, as usual, Comcast being lousy around here, so I turned down the bit rate here on the stream, so hopefully that will get a better thing going. So we're going to start off here with the power supply and get that going first, and then we'll go to the other stuff. I'm going to have Cory keep an eye on the stream here to make sure we are okay as we do this here. So let's go get this power supply attached, and he's just going to keep an eye on all of you to make sure you're behaving yourselves. You're welcome to criticize my build techniques. I'm not very adept at all of this mechanical kind of stuff, and it just costs you $5 in Super Chat every time you want to insult me, which is totally fine by me as long as you're paying. So let's get this screwed in here first, and we'll get the power supply attached. So we're going with it. I don't know what you guys heard before we dropped out, but we went with a 750 watt power supply. He had initially chosen a 650, which would probably be fine for what we're putting in here. We aren't using a GTX 1080, but Cory had expressed interest once the crazy, ridiculous prices of these GPUs came down. He was talking about maybe adding another 1080 to do an SLI configuration, so I suggested maybe we go with the 750 here, and I had one kicking around, so that's what we're going to use. The full part list is in the video description, so you'll be able to see that on there. So let's see. Maybe you should turn, Mike, mute yourself now because they're hearing some issues on the mic. Ha, I've been muted the whole time. Okay. So now I think it's better. So that's the issue. I was muted before. You know, what's funny is there was a movie called The Naked Gun where he's at the baseball stadium and he's got the wireless mic on and he goes into the bathroom, and I've had that fear of that happening on stream, so I just leave my mic muted until everything else happens there. So the good news is everybody's happy, and we have how many people watching this disaster in motion? 107 people. This is where the pressure builds up. So we'll see how it goes here. So we have the power supply installed. This is a 750. Let me get my keyboard out here. This is a RM750i from Corsair that we have in here, and they make good stuff. And this is a modular power supply, which means that on the back of here are connectors for the power cables. You don't have all these power cables coming out that you don't need. We're only going to plug in the ones that we do need. The one challenge with this case is it doesn't have a lot of room here between the back of the power supply and the drive cage here, but we're going to route cables, hopefully, under here so that we can get them out the other side on the back so we don't have a lot of wires stringing about. I get criticized often for my lack of cable management, so we are going to avoid that issue here. So let me do one quick thing here on my camera so we can get the PTZ proper here. We'll reorient the camera. Oops. Let's go. Now the problem with my PTZ camera here is that the controls are reversed, so I have a hard time getting that shot lined up, but we're going to replace camera option number 4 with that. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we're going to grab the motherboard and get that into position here. And we have a, Cory, there's a back plane for this motherboard too. I think it was in that box. Can you grab that real quick? It's that silver. Here it is. So we're going to get the back plane attached first. Is everybody behaving themselves in the chat so far?
So far they are.
All right, good. Cory has the power of moderation to get you guys taken care of there. Like I said, you can feel free to criticize my technique here. I am a functional construction person here in the sense that if it works, I'm happy. So we'll see how that all comes together here in the end. So So we're going to get this, this piece here configured. Cory's actually handier than I am, even though he doesn't give himself credit for that. Cory is a blacksmith, or I guess you're an apprentice blacksmith. What's the?
Yeah, apprentice blacksmith.
Are you muted now?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I am an apprentice blacksmith.
And he's got the burns to prove it. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so we got that back plane in there. And now what we're going to do is get our motherboard inserted into the mix here. Now, part of what we're building here, and we already did some work ahead of time, and one of the things that we did ahead of time here was we installed a liquid cooler. Now I still have the plastic piece on here because this liquid cooler has the thermal paste already built into it. This is a Corsair product, and it's got 2 fans here that will help with the heat dissipation with a radiator that's on the top. I have this on my PC also. It works really nicely. So probably overkill to some degree, but if you ever want to overclock and you're really concerned about temperature, these liquid coolers are great. And what's nice about this Corsair one is that it's all self-contained and you don't have to really worry about anything happening there. So we're going to slide this in here for a second just to make sure it all lines up. And then what I have to do is insert a little mounting bracket underneath the motherboard before we lock everything down, because there is a piece to this liquid cooler that we need to get into place there. So, are we losing the stream again? Or are we okay?
Nope. Chris is saying you need to mount the CPU fan first.
He is correct. That's exactly what I was talking about, because I have to get these thing mounted underneath it, but I'm just making sure that we don't have to take out any standoff screws first, which we probably do, because it doesn't feel like it's getting inserted well in here, because I'm feeling like there's something underneath here. So I just want to double check and see how we're doing on the standoff. So there's like one big standoff in the middle there. But he is correct. We are going to get that bottom piece mounted first. And let's make sure we got everything going here. Now, last time I did this, I lost a bunch of subscribers who were like, you're not as good as we thought you were. And they were absolutely right about that. So this is good. All right, so there's that peg there. It's in there. All the standoffs are lined up, it looks like, I think. So I think we're good. So I'm going to take it back out. And I'm going to now grab that thing and throw that underneath. And this is going to come up from, so this piece here is for the liquid cooler. This comes up from the bottom here. I'm going to go the other way, yeah. These things pop through. It's always amazed me by just how much tension these liquid coolers, and all these coolers actually have to the motherboard. It just like clamps down like in the most aggressive way possible. So we got to get this thing lined up better here. It goes like this or it goes like that? Let's see. What do you think, Cory? This way or the other way?
I think you've got it the right way. Not entirely the best at this either.
Yeah, we'll find out. I told Cory anything I break, I'll buy, so his risk is low here. How bad are the comments so far?
Not too bad. You'll get a little bit of criticism.
All right. So what can I be doing better?
Overhead camera angles a little rough for most people, seeing a lot of the top of your head.
Okay, I need to make sure I get my head out of the picture there. I just want to show off my hair. Okay, so we're good there. I'm just going to check on the brackets. Oh, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. All right, so we are good there. So I'm going to now just, oops, I just lost that thing. So let me get out of the way here. Let me switch views. So we're trying to keep that lower piece from popping back out again, which it just did. So I need to get that secured a little better. I think what I might do, because I can get at this from the bottom, is maybe I'm going to secure the motherboard first, because we can. So on this case, the CPU portion is accessible. So I think what I'm going to do is get this motherboard screwed down first. You can put it back down. We're going to get it screwed down real quick, and then we're going to get that lower piece secured for the cooler here, just because I think it might be easier. to do that. So let me grab some screws out here and start screwing things in. This is not the most exciting thing to watch, but people do enjoy these live streams. Now, the last time I did this, it was a lot easier because we were doing one of these open things. You know, it was a, what was it, a test bench.
Yes.
So it was a lot easier to do that. All right. And we'll switch back to the overhead view here. So now what we're going to do is just get these screws in here for the motherboard.
Thank you, Chris.
What did Chris say?
My grin is great, apparently.
Well, it's one of those things where it's a disaster in... see, some people watch like auto racing just for the accidents. So I'm sure a lot of people are hoping that towards the end of this, the magic smoke comes out on the motherboard here. So we'll get that screw in there.
How much did I pay for all of it? I believe I paid around $2,300.
Yeah, so let's talk about this GPU problem, Cory. So we were doing some price checking, and so he's got a GTX 1080 GPU. That was probably the most expensive part of this, right?
That was most definitely the expensive part by at least double the price of any other part I put in.
And part of the problem is that because of this crypto thing, we have an issue with the fact that you can't pay retail for this stuff. So I bought my GTX 1080 right when they came out. So I got mine, I think I paid like $700 for it maybe a couple of years ago whenever they first came out. But now they're down into the mid 600s. And then of course the TIs are the ones that are more expensive. And the TI is now like 1,200, but or it's probably more than that if you're trying to get it because they're all, all these crypto miners are just eating all up all these GPUs, which is killing everybody, isn't it?
Yes, Chris. I am primarily making this machine for gaming. I am a very adamant gamer.
So he's teaching me about gaming because I am too old now to be...
Plan on overclocking everything. That's also why I went with the liquid cooler for the CPU.
Yeah, and he's got an unlocked CPU here that we're going to be installing. I don't think we're going to probably get to a lot of the overclocking. That might be a fun follow-up to do at some point in the future, so we'll keep an eye on that. And, oops, I just lost the screw here. So we will keep an eye on how all that goes. Let's get this screw down over here.
Ooh, my favorite game. That's a tough one. I'd have to say my favorite game is probably Payday 2. That's a really fun one.
I've been seeing something on Twitter where people are talking about, oh, we got a, Zam, thank you very much for your super chat. So Zam wants to know why you chose a Intel CPU over an AMD Ryzen CPU.
Honestly, I for some reason I do have a bit of a bias towards AMD. I just prefer Intel processors.
So when I used to work in IT, there was a saying we used to have that nobody ever got fired for choosing Intel. That was the thing we used to say around the office. But AMD's done a lot of cool stuff. I'm actually hoping to get a hold of one of those new NUCs that are doing that. And so I was about to say there's a kind of a movement on Twitter right now for something called your life game or something, like what game would you play and devote your life to, which has been an interesting discussion because a lot of these games take so much time, and the older you get, the less time you have to play them. So I've been actually having, as you all know, I do a lot more retro gaming these days than anything else, so that's kind of been my take on this. So we got a little bit of an issue here, Cory, that I could see popping up, which is this fan.
Yes.
So this fan
is
going to be blocking the cooler when we finally put it down on here. So I would suggest maybe that we take this fan out and relocate it. Because we're going to have a lot of airflow on here.
Now, would it be easier to, or a better idea to take that fan out, or...
Can you put it on the other side?
No, because we have two fans on the front.
Okay.
We could just flip the liquid cooler around.
Yeah, but then you got the fan sticking out. That's gonna look. I don't think you can make that.
Well,
work.
no. I mean, like, just flip the side.
Oh, flip it this way.
Because there's nothing here. I don't have anything in the expansion bays right now, and it's not going to be hitting the fans.
Yeah, so
here.
maybe you kind of flip that whole. That'll work like that? You can do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's changing the airflow direction.
Yeah, so why don't you do a flipperoo on that one? So we got a bunch of screws to undo here, so I will hand off the thing here, and he will take care of that real quick.
Oh, man. Whoops. Did I just hit something on? No.
No, you're good. So I'll take some questions here while he's flipping the cooler around. So, yes, we have some good suggestions on flipping the radiator around. So let me go back through the questions here. It's funny how fast everything comes in. So having some debates here over Intel and AMD processors, and that is certainly something that happens from time to time. Let me grab my thing here, and so don't rush. We got plenty of time here. So we'll get the overhead view there so you all can see what he's doing. So yes, we're going to flip that that cooler around, and then when he's done with that, what we're going to do is we're going to get the cooler installed in the processor. That'll be our next project here. And Razor here is commenting that most AIB partners are refusing to increase production. I'm assuming he's talking about GPUs, because lead times are too long and the market is unpredictable in terms of when the miners will move on. Exactly, and that's been, part of the issue here with this is that who knows if we're in a bubble or if it's something that will, get resolved faster. So it's really tough right now if you're trying to buy a new GPU. And what's been interesting is we haven't really seen all that much from the consumer side of new GPU announcements. So we've been with this current generation of chips for a while now, which has been interesting. So, oops, there it goes.
Good.
All right, so we're going to flip that around and reinstall it. And Flood of Sin says, I'm still trying to master Space Invaders, which is definitely the case. That's a hard game. I like the Atari 2600 version. That one's really the way to play. All right, so you're going to go that way now, right?
Yep.
Those fans popping off now?
No, I am just sliding one of the cables through so it reaches the motherboard better.
So Shane O'Sullivan asks if I would ever use a full PC as a Plex server, especially for 4K content. That is probably something you'll want to do. The trick is on that, what I'm finding with the 4K Blu-rays in particular is that they are using that HDR color, which is often hard to just process out in Plex. So, for the most part, I've been playing my Blu-rays just straight through to my stuff in the house. I haven't really thought about yet streaming outside the house with the 4K content just yet. But I think, yeah, as the processing needs increase. But I think what will happen, though, and I have to check the NAS that I'm running, because I know that the Apollo Lake processors, which are even in some of those little nut computers, the low-cost ones we've looked at, those do support H.265, which is how those machines are encoded. So I don't think we'll have too many issues with that. How are you doing over there?
Good.
Excellent. So we should be okay with that. Aidan Murphy wants to know, have you ever, let's see, where did I just lost the comment there? He's got a good question, actually. Have I ever talked to other YouTubers about, let me find the question again, about the intros? Okay, here it is. Have you ever talked to other YouTubers about your intros? What do they say, and why don't more do it like yours? And my intros are short, and they used to be longer. So what I used to do was I'd have, so that little intro you see now I made maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. And what happened was a friend of mine said, you got to get your intro down to 3 seconds or less. So now my intro is about 1.5 seconds. It's 1 second and 23 frames, actually, to be exact. And so what he said to me is that people don't like to waste time. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot is the fact that when I do videos, a lot of the people watching are not you all subscribers. They are people that are looking for information about a particular product. And They're coming to the channel to get information on it, and they don't want to sit through a 25-second intro. I think what happens is that there's a lot of people that go on to this Fiverr.com, and you can go on there, pay $5 or $10, and somebody can make you kind of a stock intro, but with your, with all of your stuff on there. And that, I think, is what a lot of people use when they do their intros. But for me, I just wanted to get something really quick to get out there. I do like what a lot of other YouTubers do, some of the bigger ones. They'll have, they'll get into it and then talk about what they're going to do and then play the intro. So branding is important, but I like to do a real quick thing just to get in and out there. And Cory is definitely rocking the tools. They're very impressed with your ability here. I might just have him do the rest of it. He's better at it than I am, for sure. Enraged Bacon is nervous about the exposed socket, and I agree. I am nervous about it too, but we'll have that socket filled up any minute here. Chris Bernard wants to know, why do I play Rocket League in first person and not ball cam? You slam into walls and miss the ball. Yes. Typically what I'm doing with Rocket League is just trying to test to see how well it's going to work. And let me get my camera tilted down here. I love this new camera thing I've got. This is so fun. Let's get that position there, and then I can zoom in. Watch this. This is the, oops, that's the focus. Sorry, guys. Hopefully I just made it out of focus. How do I fix the focus?
There you
Is that
go.
better?
A little bit.
A little bit better? Let's see. Hopefully it goes back to autofocus here. So what happens with Rocket League is that, oops, there we go. Sorry, guys. I'm experimenting. So while I'm doing this stream, I'm experimenting with new equipment that I'm going to be reviewing soon. So this is like a two-pronger here for me. When I'm playing Rocket League, I'm really just testing the performance of it to see how well it might work. And so that's what I'm doing there. So I don't really play it. I'm just trying to get a feel for what the performance is looking like. So you're pretty good. You can like change tires and stuff. If so while you're doing that, Cory, why don't you talk about blacksmithing?
Oh no. Well, one thing I was gonna mention is actually one of the reasons why I'm just so quick with tools and stuff like this. My other job is I work teaching children's engineering classes.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so I do that a lot.
He does that a lot too. So he does that like what, 1 day a week, 2 days?
Yeah, 1 day a week in the summer. I do it a few days a week.
So Cory's with me 3 days a week, and then he does other stuff other days of the week.
Yep.
And he snowboards and a whole bunch of other things that I don't do. So for raw performance, right? Okay, let's see.
But blacksmithing, yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. Haven't quite moved on to all the fun swords and knives yet. But I make
Is that your goal, to start making like samurai swords and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But everyone that blacksmiths wants to be able to do that. But I mainly do like tools and household stuff like garden hooks or shovels and
Gotcha.
just basic little necessities or just useful things.
Gotcha. Stephanie McKeon says, never saw someone use an anti-static wrist strap while assembling a PC. And you know what's funny is a couple of years ago when I assembled my last one, I didn't wear one and I got chastised for it. So it's a good idea. We're in the winter here where I live in Connecticut, and we have carpet in this studio. I didn't get an anti-static pad yet to stand on, so we are being ultra cautious here because the static electricity is out there. In fact, we're sitting on metal chairs. I don't know if you can see my chair here. We're sitting on metal chairs today because I got in these plastic folding chairs that we use when people are coming over to the studio, and I've been very nervous about static, especially with those chairs. So that is why we've been doing that. Right. So yeah, we have an i7. Which i7 did we get? You got the i7. What is it? This box is over here, I think. Let's find it. Here it is. This is a Core i7. So Cory got the i7 7700K.
Yep.
And I should say, he paid for all of this with his own funds. This is not a...
Actually, I think someone asked that in the beginning.
Oh, did they? Did you tell them already? Okay.
But yes, I did pay for this with my
own funds.
with my own
Nobody
funds.
is paying for this review. We got to do the whole routine.
No one's
right?
paying for this
Yep.
review, and no one's reviewing the content before it is posted.
Right, and I can tell you by the end of this thing, they're going to be glad they didn't pay to watch this unfold. So, all right, so we've got the motherboard mounted here. Our next thing now, let's get that this thing in. Can you get me the instruction book for the cooler, just so I make sure I get this thing positioned?
I already handed it to you. I don't know where you said it.
And I put it down somewhere, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Is this it here?
Nope, that is not it.
This is it. This is it.
Oh,
All right, so,
it is it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so
let's see here. So it needs to go, I'm just looking in the orientation here. Okay, so this piece here needs to go underneath like that. So we're going to lift the case up just a little bit here. You got it?
Yep.
And we're going to stick that inside here. Now what's nice about the case here is that we have access to the bottom here. That's one of the things that I like about what Corsair does, is that they really do, see, you know, it doesn't fit that way, so I think it has to go this way.
Yeah.
Is that they think about a lot of these challenges that you deal with. And you pay extra for these cases, but I think there's an advantage to that.
There we go.
See, it pops right out again. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this back down. And once we get it in, why don't you keep your hand on it so that it doesn't, doesn't come out again. This is the Intel one, right? Yeah, the AMD one was metal.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to hold it down there like that? And then I'm going to lower it. So you know what? Can I let your fingers off there for a second? Okay, that's a screw in the bottom.
No, so I think it was supposed to go the other way.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I bet you're right, yeah. Oh, well, that fit better.
Yeah, that fit a little bit better.
Okay, so why don't you just keep your hand on it so it doesn't fall out again. Because we are going to have to get that cooler on there. Okay, so we probably should have put the processor in first, now that I think about it. Let go of it for a second. Let's see if it stays in.
Feels like it's in.
Yeah. If it falls out, we'll just go back in there. All right, so the next step here, let's get where's my wrist strap?
On me.
You got it on, so let me put it on me. The next step here is the processor. This is probably the most expensive part of this, in the sense that you could really F up right now.
Oh, yeah.
How much RAM do we have in this beast, Corey, or will have?
16 gigabytes, DDR4 dual channel.
All right. And I guess his intention is to overclock that.
Yeah, and I plan on upgrading to 32 eventually.
He's got room for that, folks. You can go up there. So we got a KB Lake processor here. And one of the cool things about where Intel has gone over the years is that they used to have these pins on these things, and now they don't. So that makes life a lot easier. I'm guessing this goes out like this. How do we get this thing open? Is this screwed down? I think it is screwed down. I'm just trying to see how to get into this thing without breaking your motherboard. Just slide out like this. There we go. Okay, I got it. There we go. All right. Okay. So here's the trick. And I'm going to do something cool here that I haven't done yet in this video. So we are using the camera that's on the ceiling. And it has a zoom on it, but I'm afraid to touch it and risk destroying everything. So we do have a digital zoom with the NDI Spark thing that we've got here. So this is a digital zoom, folks. So I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to position this. And our stream is like such a low bit rate that it just doesn't matter. As far as what you're going to see for quality, it's going to be about the same either way. So there we go. So you can get a better idea of what I'm about to do here. So these processors no longer have pins on them. This has been like this for a while, but for me, back when I was first building PCs in the early 90s, you would have all these, each of these little metal things here was a pin, and it was horrible. So far people have been pretty nice to us, Corey. I haven't seen a lot of criticism of my horrible technique. So I feel like the self-deprecation helps set the expectations appropriately. So. All right, so I'm just trying to see where my head begins to appear on here. Now, it's important, though, that you get the processor into the right position, because if you don't, you can create a lot of problems for yourself. And pardon for my head, folks, but I'm going to be leaning over this to make sure that I don't do the wrong thing. So let me get a different view out here, and you'll see the top of my head either way. So I just need to make sure that I get the chip lined up. They do make it easier to not screw it up these days, so that's helpful, but again, I haven't done this in a while, so I just want to make sure I've got the right orientation here on the processor when I put it in. So let's try it this way first. That's not it. Let's see. That looks right. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now we'll cut back to that and get that locked down. So now the processor is in the slot, and it's nicely held in there. And the next step is we're going to attach the cooler. And this is where I know I'm going to screw it up. So let me get the screws out first.
So Link Designs asks, would you check out the new Ryzen APUs?
I definitely want to check out the new Ryzen APUs. And actually, you know what would be really helpful for everyone with that is that if people can get me links to either the APUs themselves or products powered by them, because I still have that, we had that test bench in the closet that we haven't used in about a year and a half. So I'd love to do something else with it. So maybe some folks can email me at Lon.TV some links to some of these products so that I can pick some up and test them out, because I'm definitely eager to try that. And let me get that instruction book out here real quick. Never be afraid to use the instruction manual, folks, because you want to make sure you get this right. Okay, so there is we are the LGA 1150 on this one, right? This is an LGA 1151. So there are two different sets of screws in here that look very similar to each other, so I've got to find the right ones. So they have two different ones in here, and we're going to go with 147 people are in here enjoying the show. And what's funny, everybody, is they give you this instruction manual. These two screws look identical to me here. It's hard to see on the camera, but I think this is the one I want. All right, so we got to install these standoff screws. And I think I'm going to pull this out a little bit. And I got it here. I'm just going to screw these in just so we have them. This will actually give us a little leeway on making sure that that thing doesn't come out. And I kind of like how this installs. It's not as crazy as the other one that I did a couple years ago. And these screws will keep that plastic piece attached to the back there.
I'm only concerned about the cables on this reaching, for the power.
Yeah, and I think there's a power. Yeah, there's a power standoff right here. See
that then that will definitely reach.
Yeah, so we should be good there. I'm going to zoom this thing back out so everybody can see what I'm looking at here. So let's go do that real quick and reposition. There we go. It feels like the table has moved, although it hasn't.
We've got a super chat.
Oh, super chat. Aiden Murphy, thank you very much. I was talking about your disclaimer. Sorry about the confusion. I think your disclaimer is excellent, as I find it hard to trust reviewers. Thank you. Yeah, you know, it's a tough thing because, you know, one of the struggles that I have was threefold. And I talked about this on the wrap-up a few weeks ago. Let me get my other. I'm having too much fun with this PTZ stuff. This is all new for me, so I'm like playing with all these things. The trouble that I have as a small channel is that, you know, I can't afford to buy everything because I take too much of a loss on everything that I buy. So a lot of the expensive things I just don't get because I couldn't, you know, let's say I've got like the latest Dell whatever, and I spent $2,500 on it. You know, if I sold that, usually I lose about 20 to 30%, if not more, on the sale in the end, because I can't sell them for new because they're used. I don't feel right about buying things and returning them because that's not fair to Dell. You know, I've reached out to them in the past, but you know, it's hard to get as a small. Me and everybody else is asking for stuff, so it's really hard to get even loaners in from some of those larger companies. Lenovo's been really good about it for whatever reason. They have a department that's kind of dedicated to getting things out to smaller channels, so that's why we have a lot of Lenovo stuff on here. So the way I looked at it was, you know, look, I need to have stuff to review and in order for the channel to grow, which means that some things are going to come in for free, and it's not like I want the free stuff, and I'm saying this very truthfully, I don't really need all this stuff here. In fact, I have everything I need, but I'm really mindful of the fact that, you know, in order to do videos, I have to have stuff here to review. So my take on it has been, I'm just going to be upfront with people, and you can decide whether or not my judgment is clouded or not. And I'm okay buying things because a lot of times I can get something in faster by buying it than I can trying to get in touch with their PR people with it. So, all right, we are now ready to attach the cooler. And on the top of this cooler, what's nice about this is that they have this little gray area. I'm not going to touch it. Is thermal paste. And when you attach a cooler to a processor, you really don't want metal on metal. You want this cooling paste on there because it helps conduct the heat better. So when we put this down on the processor, this will kind of get everything attached there. And then we're going to screw down the cooler. And there's also, by the way, in case you haven't seen it here, there is a USB port on the cooler right here. You see that? See that, Cory? USB port. And what this does is they have a header cable in here for this. because you'll get data from the cooler on your processor temperature and stuff, and the fans running and everything. So let me get this thing locked down here. And this is where I might rely on your prowess with handiness to guide me here, Cory. Okay, so now I want you to hold this down. You got it? You can apply a little pressure. It's not going to hurt anything. And we're going to start screwing in these things here.
I don't like touching this without having a wristband on.
I think you're okay though, because you're not touching any chips or anything.
I know, but still.
Yeah. And once I get these screws tightened, then we can let go. All right, got that? All right, and then we're going to tighten these up again when I get all these hand tightened here. So I want to get around to this one here. I want to get a good cross section here. So if you hold down that side.
I got it.
I guess I'm doing okay so far. Nobody's like vilifying my.
Yeah.
So is that scar there from your blacksmithing?
Actually, no. This scar here was from teaching primitive studies.
Primitive studies. So
Yeah.
do you watch that channel? That guy. You ever seen that YouTube channel with that guy that does primitive technology?
Yep, I've seen him, but no, I was showing a class how to get water out of a grapevine, you know, half-mile state forest.
Yeah.
Just completely sliced my hand.
Wow.
No clue where the ER was, never been there.
So you just went with it, and
Yeah, and it was
so if you had
not
stitches,
fun.
you probably wouldn't be as defined on there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I did have stitches.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I had 6,
6.
5 or 6.
Wow. All right. So let's let go of that. I can take care of the rest here.
You got it? All right.
How are we doing in there? Oh, we have
Super
another
chat.
super chatter. Great video with the amazing Cory.
Yep.
He is an amazing. You know what's great about when Cory started here, and it's funny when you look at what young people are. And Cory's young. Let's face it. He's younger than me. He's, what are you? 18? Almost 18.
Almost.
Cory kind of comes in knowing what stuff should look like from an editing standpoint, and that was what really impressed me right off the bat. And it just shows you too. Like when I was a kid, we didn't have all this. We didn't have the ability to make videos very easily. I had a cable show, and you all can check this out. I have a link. Well, it's not a link. I have it in my video library of my old cable show that I did when I was 13. And that was a lot of fun. And it was funny, all the things that I was doing on that cable show I'm doing now for a living, which is just so awesome that we live in this awesome future. Okay, so we have the CPU cooler installed. We have all these things here. So I need to look at the instructions and figure out what all these things do. So let's make these connections and get going there. And this is one of those unavoidable things. You're going to have some wires. Okay, so these are the fan. I see. Okay, so these fans are for these things. So we should have a bunch of CPU cooling fan options here. So we have system fan 1 and 2. So we're going to put this one over here.
Now I know the CPU can't be overclocked, but that will definitely, the cooler will help keep the CPU down, but I'm pretty sure I can still overclock the graphics card, so I'm not too worried about it.
And we've got another fan here. So let's see if this, so we have all these little fan headers all over the motherboard here. So we have lots of options for this. So the CPU fan I'm going to use one of these for. I see what these are. So this is actually helpful. So here we can actually plug these in here.
Okay.
So we can get these two fans connected to this.
Gotcha.
And what we could do.
What about the other one, though?
So that one's.
Oh, you already plugged it in.
Yeah, I'm going to unplug it here and just plug it. I figured out the whole process here. So these go in here. There we go. And then I'll have you clean up these cables when we're done, because you're probably going to be better at that than I am. And the CPU fan goes here, I believe. So it leaves a pin off of that, but I think that's fine. So this goes in here, and then it's running power to these things. Maybe what we can do is do a little zip tie to that later.
You know, at first I did heavily consider building a mineral oil PC.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
I think they use mineral oil in this, right? Is that what they use?
I'm not sure what they use in that, but I'm talking like the full tank ones.
Yep.
And then I decided I don't want to
do that?
clean my computer every 3 months. So
Now the last piece of this is this thing here. Now this is the, let me switch over to our other angle here. Let me get my keyboard out here. So this cable here, this looks like a regular USB on this side, but this goes into here, which it's using this to track data. So I just have to find a USB header on here, and then we'll connect that up. Got some more questions coming in, it looks like.
David asks if you're feeling upstaged by your assistant producer.
I hope I will be, because my philosophy with this stuff is that we should have as much talent on this channel as possible. And I am perfectly fine with being upstaged.
We are using Windows 10. Don't even get me started with my issues with Windows 8. I cannot stand Windows 8.
Yeah, we're definitely doing Windows 10, not doing Windows 7.
Or 8, no.
Yeah, we have a...
Trust me, I'd use 7. I'd use XP before I went back to Windows 8.
All right, so I'm going to connect this. So how many USB ports do we have on the front?
4 on the front, and I don't know how many the motherboard has.
So I just want to check and see how many of these USB header things we've got here on the front of this. This is USB. So I'm looking for a USB header on the motherboard that's USB 2, so that we can get, this is a fan, USB 3, okay, USB, okay, so we're going to plug this in. The USB 3 is over on this side, so we're going to plug in this USB over here. And what we're going to do with this is, this will be our first cable that will run. Yeah, see, this is one of those tricky things, because we can run it across the whole motherboard here, or we can go down and back up and go this way. I guess it's probably better, right?
I'd go down and back up. That would probably keep it tighter.
All right, so let's cut our angle here.
Either way, I'm sure the chat will have an opinion on
I'm sure
it.
they will. Yep, I'm sure they will. So we're going to grab that, and we're going to route this thing through here, and then back maybe through this one. Does that work?
Sure.
Or we want to get a little closer, so we'll have it go through. See, if I go this far, I don't have enough slack to get back to here. So let's try it through. Where's that USB port? Is it on the back? What's on the top? Of course it's on the top. So we can't actually reach it going this way. We need a longer cable, because we can go through, it's on the top. So if I come down, oh, I guess I got some more room than I thought. And I come back in through here. I got room. Okay, there we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah, where did it go? I saw it a second ago.
No, it's
on the very top. Okay. Yeah. And that we could zip tie down.
That looks a little nicer.
Yeah, I get very enamored with the people that know how to do this, like do these things where there's no wires anywhere. It's amazing. And I guess you could maybe, this is kind of an optional piece. You don't really need that.
No, it's an unlocked CPU.
Yeah, it says unlocked on the box. It says unlocked in the box. All right, so let's put this back down. All right, so we have, I think we're good on the CPU. So I think the next thing, and everyone should know we have the hard drives already installed, and I think maybe our next step here, now that we have the CPU coolers installed, we have that screwed down tight, we have it all connected.
No, this isn't my first PC. I actually, I'm coming from a very, very bad setup. I had, what's in my old one? It's an i7 4790, and then I have a GTX 750, and not even a 7200 RPM spinning drive, and 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM.
All right, you know what we need now are SATA cables.
SATA cables.
So you should have, where's the cables that came with your motherboard? There should be some cables. Here's one. Okay, so we have 2. That is what we need. Now what I also like about this case is that the hard drives, let me cut back over here. The hard drives mount this way, so the connectors are on the other side, but the case is open for us. So we're going to grab our 2 SATA cables here and connect the SATA cables now.
I'm also in love with how many drive slots I have, so just never going to run out of storage.
He's never going to run out of storage on this thing. So what we're going to do here, and hopefully I'll be able to, actually I can tilt the camera down because everybody can see that. So let's go back to our pan, tilt, zoom control here. And we're going to zoom, tilt down.
Isn't this cool? I love this camera. And now we're going to zoom in. It looks pretty good. Even we did not put studio lights on today just because we didn't want to deal with it. So these live streams are more experimental for me than anything else. So what we're going to do here, you can see right there is where, let me get a little further in here. Extreme close up. Ah! So those are the 2 hard drives there. And I'm just going to connect up.
I mean, before you connect, or are they connected? I could just pull them out the drive bays, show them.
You could do that, but they can see it on the thing.
Oh, they can?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we're going to connect these 2 connectors up here. So why don't you?
I don't know if we said already or if anyone asked, but I have a 10 terabyte Iron Wolf 7200 RPM drive in there, and then a 1 terabyte Crucial SSD.
So we're going to connect up
Yeah, both.
this one.
I plan on putting all my multiplayer games that require a quick load in the SSD, and then putting everything else, like photos or just single-player games that I don't need to load fast, on my spinning.
And what we're doing here is just connecting up these SATA cables. We do have to connect power to these drives when we get the power supply wired up, but that'll be next. I kind of want to get the CPU, GPU installed next, and then kind of work with it from there. Now, back in my day, when you wanted a multi-core CPU, you had to install multiple CPUs. Now watch this, everybody. I'm going to hit this button here, and it's going to like zoom out back to where we were.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to put this back down on its back. Let's make sure we don't squish my iPhone. Have we squished my iPhone before? I don't think so.
No, 11 terabytes if you include the SSD, but yes, the spinning is a 10 terabyte. I almost went with the 12, but wasn't quite in the budget.
So
and
you have
unnecessary.
a 1 terabyte SSD in here?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, the Crucial's 1 terabyte.
Wow. Well, you're going to be set for life on that thing.
Oh yeah, I went with just completely more than I could ever need. My old computer that I've had for, my old computer with the 750 that I just talked about had a 1 terabyte in it, and I still haven't filled that thing.
All right, so I'm going to actually go out. So your SATA connectors are on the back here. So this is where the SATA connectors are. So we're going to come back out through this one here. So let's put it back up again for a second. And just do that real quick. So we're gonna go.
Yes, Lon does use the phrase "back in my day" quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is like you wake up one day and you're 40, and it's like, what the heck happened? And my wife and I were talking about that last night. It's like, what happened? It sneaks up on you. But you know what? It's fine. As long as you have your health, is what I say. All right, so we've got a whole bunch of SATA connectors, and I want to start with SATA connector number 1. And which one is which here? So this is, okay, so this is the SSD here. So I want to have that one be number 1. Are they labeled? So I want that SSD to start as a C drive. It's usually best if you just have that be the first one that it...
Yeah, I figured make the SSD the primary drive.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where that sits, because the other 2 are labeled here. SATA Express, so SATA 4 and 5 are here. But, you know, part of me wants now to like redo my entire system over there and just reconfigure everything. I'm going to make an assumption here. I'm going to put this one in here. So that's the SSD. And then this next one, there we go. This next one is going to be, and I'm going to leave it to you, Cory, to like straighten your cables out when I'm done. You know what? I'm just going to stick it. So I use this connector, which was probably a mistake because your motherboard is not friendly to this size connector. And I have another one. All right, let's pull it up again. I need to rerun this cable, so let's do that real quick. See any good comments come in? We can answer while we're futzing around with this thing. All right, so we'll do that real quick and flip this around. All right, that's better.
Okay, much better. And now we're running out of slack here. Let's put this over here. So what we got? Anything good coming in from our friends watching?
Tim asks if we're using the Mevo camera for any of this.
No, we are using NDI equipment today. So we have, I can pull up my phone real quick and just do a real quick recap of what we're doing here. So we have, let me get this going. There we go, there's camera 7. So we've got my TriCaster here running, and I've got a camera on the ceiling. This is probably the scariest rig I've ever set up. But it is pretty secure there. I've got these mounts that work on the rails for a drop ceiling. And you can see how the camera is mounted just like that. So that's how the camera is mounted. These cables come down here. Now what's happening though is that the TriCaster is on the other side of the room. So I've got the Connect Spark here, which we did a review on a little while ago. And this converts HDMI to the network, and that goes over to the TriCaster that's over there in that mess. And then we have over here, PTZ Optics sent me this camera to review. We're going to be looking at this a little later. This is the pan tilt zoom camera, and this is also working over NDI. So everything you see is coming to you through a network video connection, which is really kind of neat, including the phone. So my iPhone here, I'll just cut back to my iPhone. My iPhone here is on this NDI system also, so I can just cut to it like any other camera, which is really, really cool. So that's how we're doing everything today. And then, of course, we're streaming through the TriCaster. So good stuff. Let's go back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, so hard drives are connected. And I think what I'd like to do next is get the GPU going. So let's go grab the GPU. Ugh. This is brand new, right?
Yep, brand new.
So hopefully this guy didn't rip you off.
I checked it. Looked like he didn't.
All right. I'm just going to reattach my
wristband. Yeah.
wristband here. Okay, so let's pull that sucker out. And then after we get the GPU installed, we'll start connecting all the power up to it. All right. Oops, I just lost my wristband again. I'll let you have the honors.
Yep.
Did you open it up already?
Yep.
Okay, so it came sealed, right?
Yeah, it came sealed. I just opened it to check it.
Grab it with my in there. Okay, there we go. So is this what they call the Wind Force? I think I had one of these gigabyte cards a while ago.
Yeah, this is the G1, but apparently it has the Wind Force technology.
Okay.
So
we are going to put this. I suppose it doesn't matter which slot we put it in, but I think it might be from a cable management standpoint easier on this slot here. So we're going to put it in like so, which means we want to free up these 2 slots here. So we're going to unscrew. Oh, let me get that. Give me that screwdriver. Here it is. Yeah, let's put this down on there. Where's that? You have the bag for this still? I'm going to put it back in the bag for a second just to protect it. Now, one thing that I learned is that putting it down on top of the bag is not what you want to do because the anti-static properties are only on the inside of the bag, not the outside of the bag. So we're just going to put it in here for a second. And we're going to unscrew these screws. I need the bigger screwdriver. Where did my big screwdriver go? Didn't I have a screwdriver with a bigger Phillips head on it?
No, that's the biggest one.
That's the biggest one? I could have sworn there was one in there this morning.
I mean, they are thumb screws. You can probably just...
Are you saying I'm not strong enough to unscrew? Things are really in there.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they are.
So let's see. Why don't we grab a regular...
What monitor do I have? I have 3. I have a Samsung that I pulled off my dad's old computer. I'm using a BenQ that I got for my 12th birthday, and I just bought an AOC Aragon 1440p 144 hertz. It's a TN display, but what's weird about it is it's actually nicer than some IPS displays I've seen.
Where did that screwdriver go? Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to break out the Leatherman.
All right.
So when in doubt, use the Leatherman.
Yep.
And I have a larger screwdriver on
And we
here.
are taking out the top ones because the top slot should be faster, shouldn't it?
You know, I think both of those slots are the same speed. But I'm choosing this one just because from a cable management standpoint, that card's going to rest over the top of it a little bit. So it just won't, it'll stay out of the way of our
So you're using that one?
This one, yeah, that first one there.
Okay.
We'll see if anyone disagrees, but I'm pretty sure these are the same speed. They're both X16 slots on there.
Yeah, everyone is saying top slot.
Top slot?
Yeah.
Is that one then?
Yeah.
Is that the top one?
Oh yeah, that one's PCI 16. That one's PCIe 4. So yeah, all right.
Oh really? Where does it say? They should both be 6. Both of these silver ones are 16.
Yeah, but it says right above it.
Right.
All right.
I'll use another My Day again. Back in my day, we had AGP. That was our video standard back then, AGP. All right, so we got those off. And now, I am still strapped in here, so we're good. The complexity of these cards is just, when we think about what these things are doing processor-wise, it's pretty remarkable. All right, so we're gonna slide this down on here. And just snap that in.
Nice.
Is it in?
Yep. It
I feel like
looks
the front
like.
came down. Let me get it.
No, I think it's in.
Is it in?
Yeah, it looks like it. I think I saw it go all the way in.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll screw it down to make sure it's okay.
All right.
You know, I'm going to reseat it just to make myself feel better.
Yes, I do plan on getting a VR setup. I actually might be buying Lon's old HTC Vive.
Is he? Am I selling mine?
Yeah, you told me you're selling mine, or selling me yours when the new one comes out.
Yeah, I think I was interested in getting the new one.
Yeah.
I wish I had, you know, we talked about this, about the VR thing. It's just the, I wish it was more popular. I really wish VR was more popular.
Yeah, so do I. There's so much you can do with VR, and it's such an interesting thing, and there's a lot of good games coming out for it as well.
And I think part of the issue that I'm running into with it is that I am leaving my VR experiences with a bit of eye strain. And I don't have eye problems. And I think part of what happens with the VR is that you're looking, you know, your vision is looking at these lenses that are very close to your eyes. And your brain is feeling a greater depth, and it really messes you up. Okay, so we are installed. So the next step here is to get all of our power cables connected. And this is where the cable management goes to SHIT, so I don't get demonetized. So our first track here, you were talking about taking out this whole cage, weren't you? Why don't we see if we can fit this in here without going too crazy? We might have to take that drive cage out now that I think about it.
Yeah.
That sucks. Let's see what we can do. So what I'm going to do first here is get this part.
Well, we were going to stand it up to clip it in, weren't we?
I think we were. Why don't we do that? So let's stand it up here. And get this cable connected.
I'm like nervous to touch
I
it.
know. Now I want to see if I can get an overhead. See, the problem is this view is going to be hard for anybody. We can't really get a good view here of what we're about to do. Maybe we can actually. I take that back. We're going to take, or am I on camera 6 there? Yeah, so we'll grab this one here and we'll just kind of zoom down to the lower section of the case. And we'll get in there a little closer and we'll see how that looks. Yeah, that should work out okay. All right, so what we're going to do here is...
Actually, funny enough,
Yeah.
we're editing that review right now.
Which one? The Mavic Air?
Yeah.
Somebody's asking about that? Yeah.
They said apparently you're going to be the last person on YouTube to review it.
That kills me because I've been really, it's been killing me that I haven't
Yeah.
gotten it done yet. And you know what it is that the stuff that has a lot of B-roll takes me longer to do.
I was editing that video right before we started the stream, so don't worry. It will be up shortly.
It is coming. And the spoiler is I'm quite pleased with it.
Yes, we do have quite the amount of good footage for it.
I just like how small it is.
Yeah, its compact size is very nice.
All right, so let's get that in here. Oops. I think I got it backwards here. Hang on. I think I do have it backwards. I can see where the connector is, yeah. All right, so this part's going to go in out here. And this part goes in here. So this is the our goal with this build is no magic smoke. That is our...
No, actually, while Lon does that, I think, yep, you guys should be able to see this. What I really like here is how easy this pops off, and eventually I'm planning on changing those fans out for some RGB ones.
He wants to see some light in there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so next step here is to take that power cable that is on the back.
Oops. I'll put that back on later.
Yeah, we'll do that later. So we got the power cable here fed through the back. And now we're going to go back into the spot here on the motherboard where it's closest. So we're going to stick it in here and loop it around like so. And this way, we don't have a big power cable clogging up our airflow, because everybody gets bent out of shape when I don't have good airflow on my builds here. So look at that. That is beautiful. Okay, so, and you know, when you put the other piece back on, there's a piece here that will flop down on top of this, but it should stay flush there. So I think, let's cut back to our overhead view here. I think this looks very nice so far. We got to clean up some of these cables here, right?
Which we will do.
Which we will do. Now this is your other fan. So this fan.
We still have to hook up all 3 fans.
Yeah. So now these 2 are hooked up already.
Yeah,
but those do, right. Now this one here, there is a system fan output right here. So I'm going to plug this one in right here. So we'll have that fan ready to go, and that's one less cable kicking around. Can't see, is it in the middle? Must be in the middle. Let me get a slide over there for 1 second so I'll be able to see this better. Okay. Okay, there we go. So that fan's in. All right, so that's one other cable.
Yeah, I do have quite a lot of fans on this.
Yeah, there should not be any issues with cooling on here at all. All right, so we've got all of that stuff installed here.
Definitely aiming for the 100 score on the stress test on 3D Mark.
Yeah, we like to run the 3D Mark stress test because it really gives you a good indicator of stuff. Now we need to plug this cable into the power supply next because this is for our PCI Express slot. So we need to find that spot on here, peripheral and SATA, USB, PCI Express. Now there's 2 things actually that have to come out, that need to come through on this, because we also have a secondary power connector on the motherboard, which is for the CPU. So we're going to plug it in. It has to go all the way over on that side. Isn't that crazy? So we need to run 2 of these cables here for that. And this is where the cable length becomes a real problem. Because
well, that you can probably pull down through, or yeah, you can probably pull down through there, have it come up through there, have it wrap there, then just zip tie any excess in the back.
Right. So this one, we probably need the longer cable for that, which is this one.
Yes.
This is a type 4, and we're going to plug, I'll keep out of the way here so I don't get my head in the shot here. So we're going to plug this one into one of these type 4 ports here. Okay, so plug that one in there.
Actually, one thing I considered doing, just because it sounded fun but complete overkill, Razer makes RGB development kits, and I was planning on buying one of the strands and a bunch of the extenders and wrapping it around all my monitors, so everything lights up.
That'll be the sequel to this video.
Oh yeah.
Now see, now I want to show you the difference between how I do things and how everybody else does them. For me, I would just be like, yeah, screw it, plug it in, turn it on.
No.
You know? but we got to do this. Oops, this is magnetic, right?
Yeah, that's magnetic.
So let's pick it up here again. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go out of here with this big honking cable here, because we have to get this over to the motherboard's extra power connector. Where did that go? It is over, where the heck is it? Right on this side. Okay, so it's way the heck up here. I don't know how this is going to work. So this goes, see, we go through here. We might have enough length on here, but it's like a weird spot because that connector is all the way up on the top of the motherboard.
Hold on. Where is it? Like right?
Right. Actually, it'll reach. It'll reach. We're good. So let's put it back down here. I'll show everybody. So we can go kind of back to here. We can go on the side here. Getting notifications telling me to eat 3 slices of bread every day. That's a useless notification. So this cable is going to be problematic because we don't have a lot of slack here because we're coming in. Is there a spot we could stick it up? If we can go over there. I think that's what we're going to do. Let's try that real quick. What's nice is that there seems to be some degree of sanity with the motherboards and case designs kind of lining up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think have it go through here. What do you think?
Yeah,
it doesn't have one of those little gaskets there, but
I
maybe
think
not
that should be okay.
ideal for that.
Unless
but
someone yells at us, we'll see.
yeah,
Tells us that we'll make the whole computer explode.
Yeah.
We'll see.
it fits. You might want to find some way to just keep the cable from making contact over here. So maybe you like tape it down into that.
I wouldn't tape it.
Well, you'll figure it out. You're a handy guy. Because there is like power running through it, so we want to be careful with that.
If it's pulled taut, I don't think it will scrape the motherboard.
Yeah. All right, so now we have these two connectors are separate, but when you plug them in, they go together. So,
yeah.
So we'll plug this one in. Let's go back to here. There. And this one goes right next to it. It's also good too, they key these connectors so you can't plug them in the wrong way.
Yeah, that is nice.
When I used to do this, sometimes like things would just smoke up and catch fire and blow up.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. And you know, the comparatively the stuff was a lot more expensive, so you really there's not a lot of margin for error here. Make sure I got the thing in the right angle here. Anybody got some stuff to talk about if we're as I'm futzing with this thing? Okay, so let's flip this around this way. Nobody's got any questions, huh?
Scrolling up, couple, just seeing what there is.
So who thinks we are totally unfit for this job? Anybody?
I've seen a couple. That
I think they're
maybe
waiting
think
on,
we're not
like whether or
super
not
good.
this thing explodes at the end of the process. I think that's
Wait,
the.
someone's telling me to check the cable. Wait. What cable do I need to check?
You know, it could very well be we have the wrong cable here. That might be what they're saying, because I think that it's
You know,
possible.
I play tons of games. There's probably more than I can count. I think I have, between the person I'm sharing with, I have like over 100 in my Steam library. So, and that's not even counting all the other games I download. Apparently, you need to insure my computer for malfunctions.
Yeah, and actually what happened here is I did have the wrong cable, so they were correct about that. So pull this.
They were. That's good.
I had the PC. I had the video card cable, not the
Nice.
CPU cable. So we'll just pretend this didn't happen.
Yeah, nothing ever happened.
Yeah. So we'll just go right back where we started from on this one and just ignore that ever happened. So, and by the way, it still had to be plugged in. So at least we got that done. So let me go back over here and.
Yeah, it's a quad core. It's a quad core processor. Didn't need any more. The only thing that made me consider AMD was I was looking at some of their octa-core processors, but again, with how much that graphics card ran me wasn't in the budget. Originally, before Bitcoin drove all this stuff through the roof, this was going to be a 1080 Ti.
Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
Just ruins everything.
That it does.
But it's true, though. I think the GPU manufacturers just don't want to ramp up production because they're concerned that this will just die off. A lot of people have speculated, and I think they're probably right about this, that the likely scenario here is that we'll end up with a lot of used cards.
Yeah, my old computer is actually going to a friend of mine. She's a big gamer with me, but she's running a i3 and, yeah, no graphics card. So definitely going to be a good upgrade.
All right, so the CPU connector is in place. So that part's done. So we got power to the motherboard, power to the CPU.
Someone asks if you're into cryptocurrencies.
I am not really. I do have a wallet, a couple of wallets actually, but I haven't done any investment in it. I would like to be able to buy something with this cryptocurrency, which I really can't do at the moment. So once that happens, I'll be happier with it. So we have a choice here on this cable. We can go, Mr. Cory, we have a choice here on this cable. We can go over the top, or we can go out and back in, which might be cooler to do.
Out and back in, yeah.
All right, so we're going to do the proper cable management technique here.
Yes, we are.
We're going to go out the bottom here. So let's get the.
I'm trying to think of how I'm going to tighten some of these. I might.
I think you can like zip tie it all to
Yeah,
each
I'm
other
going to
here.
zip tie them down here.
Because that you can't avoid.
Yeah, that you
is there.
can't really avoid.
All right. So we're going to go out. Did I go out yet? No.
Yes, I did, but I'll say it again. The total cost was around $2,300 after everything, but I also did buy insurance on pretty much every single part in here, so it was.
You got like a long-term warranty on the stuff?
Yeah, everything has at least like a 2-year warranty, so it came closer to $2,000 if you're not counting the warranty, but.
I like the case a lot.
Test run of Crysis 3.
Do you have Crysis 3?
Yeah.
It'll take us an hour to download it, but we'll have to figure out where we're at when we're.
Well, it's up to them, but I could get a ton of B-roll of games for this.
I think we probably
definitely
do
get a whole
follow-up at
video
some
on
point.
it.
Yeah. So I'm sure people will be curious. I think our plan is we're going to boot it up. We have to get Windows installed on it, obviously.
Yeah. Film the setup at home. Bring a camera.
Yeah, and you can you can do a little capture at home with it. But I think we'll also.
Absolutely.
I think what we're also going to do is. What am I doing wrong here? We're going to do like one of those quick things just to see how it works as far as I'm not able to speak anymore, so I'll just shut up. I can't do two things at once.
No, I do not have my own channel.
We'll get them set up one of these days. Actually, we should set up a channel for you so that you can like do more with this PC if people are into it.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be down. If anyone here would be interested, I could definitely look at graphics cards and new high-end PC parts that are coming out, because as you all know, Lon prefers to do whole products. But if any of you are interested in individual pieces for advanced machines, I would gladly look into that.
Definitely look into that. All right, next step, hard drive power.
Yep.
So we'll get this one going here for hard drive power, and we'll snake this around properly.
Where is the drive that we downloaded Windows on?
It's over on my gaming PC over there. And not bad. We're about an hour and 21 minutes into this project, and I think we're almost ready to boot it up. So that's not bad. So what I've got here are these are the power cables for the SATA drives. I'll run those through here.
All right. Can I just pull this, or
What's
should
that?
we eject it?
Oh, yeah, the computer's off, so you can pull it out of the USB. No, pull the whole thing.
Pull the whole thing?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because we're going to grab the whole thing out of there. All right, so we're going to plug this into here. I love how these drives just stick out at the bottom here. It's so convenient. So we'll connect that power connector there, and then we'll connect this power connector here. And cable management. There you go. Cable management. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far inside. Oops. So this is looking pretty good, I think. Wait, take a look. Mr. Cory, take a look and see how the cable management looks to your young eyes here. So I think you've got some zip tying to do and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I think we're going to take that thing out of there. Okay, now this is one of our USB 3 connectors here. So now we've got to connect all these crazy motherboard things up. So let's start going through here and see what we got. So we need to find the USB 3 is right over here. So we're going to plug this one and plug it into the top one here. What are you looking for?
The pack is zip tied.
Oh.
Found it.
All right, so USB is connected. This is running both of those ports through there. The next thing now is this is the part I hate. These little freaking connectors that are all over the place. So now you recall that we used, all right, we'll just plug it into this one here. So we have this one coming out over here. So what I can do is snake this one back through. So let's get that one going. We're up to 137 who are still with us. So where is this cable going from and to? I'm going to snake this one back out to the other side if we're going to keep with our cable management strategy.
Apparently it's the worst that we're doing the connectors last.
They're probably correct about that.
Yeah.
I don't do this often enough to do it the right way. And I really hate those connectors. And they've never gotten better. You'd think like at some point somebody would just come up with a standard so you didn't have all these tiny connectors all over the place, but no luck there. All right, so back down here, we got that USB cable connected. Okay, we got some more fans here, and we've got a bunch of these little suckers all over the place. So we've got the power switch. This one's kind of important, right? So let's find the power switch on here.
The power switch is a little bit important.
Yeah. Now we've got to see.
Well, the power switch is...
No, the power switch is there on the motherboard.
Oh, you meant on the motherboard.
And I've got to see if they've labeled all these things, which I don't think they have. Can you find me the instruction manual for the motherboard? Which I think is probably over there.
Nope, it's right there.
Right here, okay. Oh, look at this. What is this? This is hard drive reset. Oh, good. They've got a little header thing. Perfect. It's a good thing I looked because, look at that.
Perfect.
So I can plug everything into this thing, and then we run it all into the motherboard that way. So power LED, plus and minus. Let's get that in there.
All right, that's a little tidier.
Much nicer, yeah. So. And my hope in that when we're done with this, that you don't like become you don't like never want to come back here because you'll just be playing games on this thing all day long.
I am definitely going to be on this quite a lot. Not looking forward to hooking up all of my stuff again when I get home.
Yeah.
Because
All right, this is the power switch, which goes into this one here, maybe. Nice. Oh, I see what's going on here. All right, so let me do this from the hard drive LED. Let's try this. I just want to see how this thing works. I'm not sure how these things connect. All right, hard drive LED. And let's make sure I get this in the right order. This thing's actually much handier than having to connect everything directly to the motherboard, but I got to make sure I get the pluses and minuses correct. Okay, so plus minus, that's good. All right, so let's get another one out here. This is the power switch. That's the power LED. Power switch goes here. All right, that's in. These are the power LED. Oh, so these are like these little half ones here, so they make it harder. So I got to get them to go in together.
Lon?
Yes.
Stream.
Oh, the stream is not healthy. Video output is low. YouTube is not receiving enough video, so we may have a little stream issue, folks. So just stay tuned. It'll come back, hopefully.
Someone comments that right as it happens.
Yeah.
Probably sarcastically.
Yeah. My internet stinks here, but this is why I get so worked up over this internet choice thing, because I have no choice. I have one provider, and that is it. And it was working relatively well. Okay, everyone says it's fine now. So we're still getting some warnings here about the stream quality, so we will keep an eye on it.
All right.
And let me check the control panel on this thing and see if it's all right. So we're okay on the broadcaster. So hopefully this will work. Yeah, Comcast has decided that I've been streaming too long, and I can't do it anymore. I'm actually considering looking at their commercial service, which costs a heck of a lot more for the same bandwidth. But if I start doing more streaming, it obviously will be an important thing to have. So we'll see. All right, so that's in. Am I missing any connectors here? I think I got them all. So this is a really handy thing here, folks. So this, yeah, there's a speaker. We don't have a PC speaker on this. So you probably can't see it in my hand. Let me see if I can zoom in on it a little bit. Let me zoom in here. So I've got this little thing here. Let me pan it over to the right. So this thing, all these little connectors pop into, and then I can just pop this whole thing into the motherboard, which makes life a lot easier. So that is what we're going to do here. So let's get this in there, and they key it properly so I know exactly which way it goes in. All right, so that is connected. And the last thing, I think, right, Cory, is just these fans.
Yep, that should be it.
So, and then we're ready to go. So now there should be 2 fan headers somewhere near here. System fans here. Somebody's calling me. Who's calling me? I'll have to call him back because I am
Quite
in the
busy.
midst of construction here.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are these on the same wire, or there's another wire for that fan? I think they're on the same. No, there's got to be 2 wires here.
No, maybe. Yeah.
Unless maybe they have them coming at the. We'll find out when we turn it on, right?
No.
Is there another one? Yeah, I thought there'd be another one. What is that? Wait, we missed something here. Oh, this is the HD audio. So this actually goes into this thing here. So we'll take this cable out and feed it through.
Yeah.
So let's get it back up again. Otherwise, you're not going to hear anything.
Yeah, that would be an issue.
Yeah. So let's grab this here. And I think what we're going to do is when we turn it on, we'll reorient ourselves. And we may want to get another monitor, which I will.
There's one in the back.
Yeah, do you want to get that really lightweight HP one? You know which one I'm talking about?
Yep.
So Corey's going to go grab that real quick, and I am going to finish hooking up his audio. All right, so we are connected there. And I think, folks, we are ready to fire this thing up. We do have some cable management to still do on it, but I think we are off to a pretty good start on this. Let me pull it over here so you can see what it looks like. So it's not going to take much for him to get these cables cleaned up, and a lot of them are kind of out of the way, so he can figure out the best way to get them tied up and going there. But my objective here is to get this thing fired up so we can see what's going on here. Yeah, so Razor 2048 said, like, once you get a competitor, Comcast gets a lot better, which I would definitely agree with. So,
All right.
okay, so we are ready to go, and we got the monitor. So what I want to do, Corey, is I'm going to get this thing. I think we'll start her up kind of open air, right? Because we want to address any issues that come up right off the bat.
Yep.
But we got the GPU is plugged in. We've got everything connected here. Somebody asked about the sound card. I guess you didn't. We're just going to rely on motherboard audio on this one, right?
Yep.
So we're going to rely on motherboard audio for the outset.
And I don't need a sound card. I'm getting a DAC, so I should be
Display port.
should be okay.
We're going to connect this to HDMI to start because we don't have a 4K monitor here. And one of the important things when you build a PC, especially if you have a graphics card, is that you want to connect it to the graphics card, which is right here, and not the motherboard, which is here, because otherwise you're on Intel graphics there. So, all right, this is the front. So I think what I want to do is reorient this way. And we're going to grab that, grab the power thing. So why don't you get that monitor and put the monitor right here. So put that facing the camera there.
Yep.
So we're going to kind of reorient the set piece here. People won't see us necessarily initially. So kind of move it back, like to the back, like next to that, right? There you go. And then what we'll do is, here's the power strip. So plug the monitor in there.
Oh,
I
there.
got one left on here. So we got to figure out what's not important anymore on this thing. So this is the monitor we're using for the TriCaster. This is the camera that's pointing up there. We obviously want to keep the spark plugged in. So I think what we're going to do, the laptop has plenty of juice to get through the rest of the stream here. So let's unplug the laptop for a little bit. And we need to get the power cord, which I did take before we started here. The power cord for the new PC. That one will work. Is that? No, it's not thick enough. Where did it go? I grabbed it out of the back before we started. That will work. And the monitor's already plugged in?
Yeah, yep. That's the one you grabbed.
That's the one, okay. So we don't have a lot of length on this, so I think we want to get, let's feed that through over here. Yes, this is a 486DX, Mr. Baxter. That is it. We're going back to the future. All right, well, give me that power strip. Let's kind of feed it through here. See if we can reach it.
All right.
All right, you know what I'm going to grab is I have one of those little extender cables in the back. Let me grab that real quick. Ugh.
All right. Oh, Lon,
Yeah,
we're forgetting something.
the RAM. Yes. I was so excited, we forgot the RAM. So we'll plug the RAM in real quick. All right, let's get this thing hooked up first, and then we won't plug the computer in yet because we forgot the RAM. So let's get the... That's how excited I was. I was just like, oh, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
So we're going to open the RAM up here. Now we need to check on the motherboard because we got to make sure we put them on, we're running dual channel here. I think we have to go every other slot on this, if I'm not mistaken. So let me get this back down on the table. This is why you're here, sir, because we would have totally forgotten about that. So,
Oh, yeah.
all right, let's move the monitor over a little bit. Let's see if we can get a view here of the computer. All right, so, okay, so if I'm not mistaken, we got to go into 1 and 3.
Wristband.
Where'd it go? How did it fell off completely? Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to go 1 and 3, I think, on this. Is there a motherboard manual somewhere?
Yep. Still here.
Good. Let me take a look at that real quick.
Yeah, slot 1 and 3. People
Yeah.
are saying, so.
Yep, slot. Everyone says 1 and 3? Yep, good. So that is what we're going to do. So we have our RAM.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's very pretty.
Yeah.
All right, so we will
Actually, funny story. There's a reason behind me building this whole computer, not just because I decided it was an upgrade. I thought my old computer was going to fit those RAM cards, and
Oh, you bought it for the other computer?
yeah, I bought it for the other computer originally, and the motherboard didn't fit it. So I'm like, you know what? I'll upgrade the whole computer. So
This is interesting. So
I've been sitting on that RAM for about a year.
they're actually right next. So 1 and 3 are actually right next to each other here. So this is 1 and this is 3.
Oh, huh.
Let me just double check on that in the manual here just to see if that is the case. So I think we do put them next to each other because. Never hurts to look at the manual, folks, just to be sure.
And it does
And this is not something that would destroy the computer. It just won't run as fast if we put them in the wrong slot. But I'm pretty sure that they go next to each other, given that it is 1 and 3. But they just positioned it so that this is 1, 3, 2, and 4. But normally, what I've experienced in the past is that they usually put them right next to each other. Yeah. So,
all right.
yeah. So 1, 3. So next to each other, it looks like the way to do it here.
Okay.
So let's try that, because 2 and 4 are on the other two. All right, so we'll put this in next to it here.
Made it a little hard for herself.
What's that?
Made it a little hard for herself to slip it in, but
Yeah, not too bad. It's pretty. All right. Would have been funny if we got this far and like just booted it up and said, "What? There's no."
Yeah, no RAM.
Yeah. So some folks are wondering if you're going to run Linux on here.
No, I'm gonna run Windows. I sometimes will put in a virtual machine and run some Linux stuff and some older versions of Windows, but I'm sticking with 10.
And part of it too, and we kind of explored this when we looked at the Steam machine from Alienware a little while back.
Yeah.
Is that you run into an issue with compatibility, and a lot of the games that here, you know what? Let's run that through the other side of the table. That power cable for the monitor.
Yep.
So that Steam machine that we built, that we brought in a while ago. Oops, wrong camera. Oh no, what did I do? The wrong bank. Hang on, folks. back to camera 6. The Steam Machine that we looked at a while ago, one of the issues with it was that a lot of the popular games just weren't available on it because everybody was writing their games for Windows and still are. So it's kind of hard. I mean, it's getting better now with Vulkan, I think. That's certainly been a big change. I'm not plugging it in yet. I just want to do one more spot check here. We need to get an HDMI cable, which we have plenty of. This one will work.
Cable management's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, you have a little bit of work to do, but oh, I forgot to switch back to that view. Okay, there we go. Sorry, folks. The keyboard keeps getting hit with stuff, and that's messing up the image there. But all right, so
I don't think you meant to have that border on there.
yeah. Yeah, let's put that in there. Okay, so now let's go back to 5 here. I think the overhead view is now deprecated, as they say in the biz. And I think what we want to do next here is grab
We're on the overhead view.
a keyboard. What's that?
You have it set to the overhead view.
What's that? Am I on the right?
No, you're on overhead view.
Oh, no, we're on. The stream is a little behind, so it'll switch over in a second.
Okay.
Where did our wireless test keyboard go? The one that looks just like that one? The one that looks like this one here.
Not sure.
We have another one, because we do need a keyboard to plug into this thing.
Here.
Is it in here? Why don't you grab your keyboard and mouse or something and just bring it over here. We'll hook it up, get her going.
Oh, here, we've got this one.
Where'd the other one go? Is it in the back?
Don't know.
Let me check over there real quick.
Sorry that we're such a mess.
I got a mouse.
Oh, you got a mouse? Good.
Yep. All right, we're good. All right, so we'll go and hook these up to the USB 2 ports on the side here. And give me that keyboard. Plug that in there, and then I'm going to spin the TriCaster monitor around here so we can see what's going on. I do have to plug in the computer still, so we'll make sure we do that. And let me just get our camera angled properly. This is it, folks. First, what do they call this? First light. So we'll get that angle down there. You could probably put it down on the desk maybe if you want. I don't think it'll impact things too heavily here.
Yeah.
All right. So good. All right. So let me get the power connected. Now, a good sign here is that if it doesn't power up right when I plug in the power, that's a good sign. And actually, this power is switched off right now. There's a physical switch on that power supply. Okay. All right, here we go. Good. That was good.
Yep.
So if it doesn't power up when you first connect power, that's a good sign. Now, where is the power button on this?
It's right there.
Where? Oh, that's it?
Yep.
That's the button?
Yep.
No, that wasn't good. So we got a little problem in here. We got to go hunt through on that. Okay, so we've got a power issue of some kind. So let's disconnect power here real quick and figure out what happened. Power's connected. We got the RAM in the right place. Something might be shorting out somewhere, so we got to figure out what happened. All right, so let's power it back on real quick. Where's that switch again?
I got it.
Yeah, it looks like it's just not getting enough juice here to power up. Yeah, so usually if it doesn't power up right away, we got something not right. So let's go step back through here and make sure everything is seated properly in the power supply.
Chat have any ideas?
Because
they're usually pretty knowledgeable.
Check the front panel because Q connect holders are not always stable. So it could actually be the front panel connector, somebody said, which
I'd put your band back on if
yeah.
you're...
Where's my band? Where did we put the band? So somebody said the front panel connectors are probably the.
Oh yeah, it could
Can you
be.
grab me the band over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It could be that I didn't connect those things properly.
Here, Lon.
So we'll check that real quick. And keep an eye on the chat. See if anyone else has some ideas for us.
Yeah.
And do me a favor, Cory. Just pull the power cable out of the back of the power supply. So we'll be completely safe here.
It's out.
And I'm going to look at our theory here is that it's probably those connectors on there. So let's take a look at that. So the motherboard is secure there. And I will say that usually my stuff just comes right up when I plug these things in, but let's check the power connector on here. Oh, you know what? Power LED, power. Power switch.
Do we not have the right switch in?
No, we do. Let's see, the switch is in the right spot. It actually has 2 spots for the power LED. So I wonder if maybe we just have the wrong. So I'll put that here, and then I'm going to move these 2 to the other side.
Yeah, I did get screwed on the price of the 1080. Not too badly. It was paid like 850 bouts for it.
It's highway robbery out there right now.
It really is.
Yeah, I think it's in the right spot because this one has like a. Let's try it again here. And double check all these connectors too to make sure everything's connected the right way.
Yeah, tell me when I'll plug it in. I'll give it a shot.
Check the reset switch also and see if that might be problematic. Yeah, I bet you this thing wasn't in. Oh, oops, shit. Okay, why don't you plug it back in again?
Okay.
And then flick that power switch on. You in? All right. Yeah, it's definitely that motherboard header thing. So do it. Kill it again. Unplug it.
Oh, there we go.
All right, good. So it is this problematic little sucker here. So I'm going to. One of the plastic things, this thing's like a really crappy connector too. One of these plastic things just fell off of it too. Let me double check and make sure. What I might do is just connect the power switch manually to that header just to see if that gets it going. So let me grab that one. This would normally be moving that way, so this one is right here. Okay. All right, plug it in again.
All right.
Power that switch to the on position. Yeah, something's not right here. All right, so we got a power problem. Undo it. It's like it's not getting enough power. So let me check and see.
750.
Yeah, we got plenty of power. Like the power supply itself is big enough.
Yeah, it's more than big enough.
Yeah, so something, I'm guessing something is just not connected properly back here, and I just got to figure out what it is. How hard is it to pull out this drive here, this drive bay?
What do you mean?
Just pull out that tray with the drives on it.
Like this whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah, does it unscrew it? Is it a screw that holds it in?
Yeah, I'd imagine it's kind of a pain.
Didn't you take it out already? I think you took it out once before.
No. Like, I just slid the drive out.
So you didn't take out the thing?
No.
So, 4x4 CPU. So those things are all in properly there. We got it all connected properly. Could be a bad motherboard.
I don't know.
Yeah. Where'd you get the motherboard from?
I got it from Newegg.
Okay, so that's probably a safe bet. Yeah, the troubleshooting on this stuff is always a nightmare. So let me kill a couple of these fans. Let me try one more time. So pull that fan out just for the heck of it. So plug that power supply back in. This will be a very anticlimactic stream if we can't get it working in the next hour or so. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, and then hit the power switch on it. Is you powered on?
Yep.
Yeah, we're just
Starting to think it's the motherboard.
Could be anything. Unplug it again just to be safe. What we can do is start troubleshooting here one piece at a time and just go through it all and see where it can happen. You know, the problem is we don't get any kind of indicator as to what the power issue is, if any. So that's one of the tricky things with this. So what I think we need to do is get a better look behind the power supply here. So I got all these things plugged in properly. They're well seated. Everything's in. Got the RAM in there. Everything's in the right spot.
Couldn't be we're just not getting enough power from the strip, could it?
I think if that was the case, we would lose all the stuff plugged in could be an issue.
Yeah.
And I've got very good power here, so I don't think that's the cause. We could try to plug it in. If you want to get that extension cord out of the back room.
Guess it's worth a shot.
Yeah. Let's see if that does it. And I'll just keep double checking and reseating things, but there's definitely something wrong here. So usually these things come right up. And I'll check the chat here and see what everyone's saying. Yeah, we checked the switch. So we are definitely in a holding pattern here because for some reason it just isn't turning on. And you know, I'm thinking it's either a motherboard issue or we've got something shorted out somewhere. So it could be any number of a host of things that is happening here. So I'm gonna reconnect power one more time here. It's on the one on the table there that you used back there. Let's try to power this thing up again here. Yeah, so it's really just something's just not happening in there. And I think maybe what we'll try is stepping through each piece. Maybe we'll disconnect the GPU and see if that's an issue and then do that. Some folks are saying to reset the RAM and check the RAM. So maybe we'll do that now and see if that has anything to do with it. So let me unplug it again, switch the power off, unplug it. And we'll go in and check the RAM real quick. I wonder if maybe I should put it on. See, I'm on slots 1 and 3. So let's go in and check the RAM real quick and just make sure that we've got everything well seated here. Some folks are saying check the RAM and make sure the RAM is in properly. So we're going to reseat the RAM here. All right, it's nice and tight in there. And we've got our second connector here. I think my wife is coming down the stairs, everybody. We are live streaming, sweetie, in case you don't want to be on the internet. It's upstairs if we have one that long. Okay, so we are reconnected here. All right, so let's plug this into that. All right, reseated the RAM. So let's see if that gets us going. All right. Okay. All right, one more time.
Weird, it's flickering.
Yeah, it comes on and then it comes right back off. So that tells me there's some, generally when this happens, there's a short somewhere. And it could be a whole host of things causing the short, and it's hard to say what. And it's going to take a while, I think, to try to troubleshoot where all this is. And by the way, that mouse has a battery on it, which is why you're seeing the light on it. That's, all right, so one suggestion here is we pull one of the sticks of RAM out. So let's try that next. We are unplugged, and I am still connected to the thing here, so let's pull that out. What a bummer this is, huh? Yeah, I'll figure it out. All right, so pull that stick out. We'll plug back in. All right, and we'll power it back on. Nothing this time at all, huh? You get any flickers? Oh, it's because I was off. There we go. Let's try it again. Yeah, same thing. Okay, so let's pull the cable and go and grab this stick here. And we'll put this one in here. And I think what we can even do further here is troubleshoot to, at some point maybe we pull the GPU out next and see if that might be causing it. It's got to work your way through the whole system here to figure it out, because unfortunately we're not getting any kind of indicator as to what it is that might be causing the issue. So let's grab power cable. And if it makes you feel any worse, this has never happened before. Yeah. It just, usually the stuff comes up when you hook everything up properly, so it's just like, what the heck? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's blinking again here. So, all right, so it's definitely not the RAM, at least not yet. So let's pull the cable again. I'm going to try just putting it into slot 4 just for the heck of it and see if that has any impact on things.
No way, it's the card drawing too much power.
No, not this card. I mean, it could, there could be something wrong with the card, but you said the card was sealed when you got it, so.
And the card was sealed.
Yeah, and I've seen bad cards before too, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that you got a bad card. And actually, what we could do, I have lower power GPUs in the back. We can grab one of those and just plug it in and see if it. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, so they were saying that it only draws about 30 watts at startup, so that's, yeah, we're not getting anywhere with this thing. So I think the next step here is pull the GPU out and try the onboard and see if that makes a difference, because that'll at least give us an idea as to what might be causing the problem. So,
can we put the other stick back in?
Yeah, so let me reorient all this stuff. And if the GPU is busted, then we've got a whole other problem to deal with there.
I'm gonna be on the phone all night.
Yeah, well, we'll see how we deal with this part. And folks in the chat are saying that it's only about a 30-watt power draw when you turn on the computer, yeah. So that should not be causing you issues there. Sucks when this happens on a live stream, though, because usually it's nice when they just come up and boot. But sometimes SHIT happens. So we'll just step through and troubleshoot and pick out every possible issue there might be. It could be that power supply went bad sitting in the back for so long, so it might be getting out the other power supply and trying that.
That's the last step.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different parts to getting this thing troubleshooted here. So let's get the card unseated here. The card was definitely well seated. It did not want to come out that easy. So let's put that down there for a second. And let's plug into the onboard. And I'm going to grab the power cable again. And if this works now, then your problem is the GPU. All right, so here we go. Where's that power switch? So it's not the GPU. Make sure I got the switch properly. Oh, it did a little more that time, didn't it? All right, so it's not that. So the good news is GPU is fine. So what else could it be? Well, it could be this power connector here. Let me trace this one back. I got it in the right one over there. Peripheral PCI and CPU, which is this one here. So let's just make sure that's in there properly. Reseat that. We'll reseat the, I got reseated the main power cable already. Power switch is indeed in the right spot there. And it could, what the heck, let's just unplug the keyboard and mouse and just see if that makes any difference here. So reconnect. Nope, still nothing. So we have a mystery on our hands, sir. And we got to figure out what it is that is causing this thing not to boot up. Well, the good news is the most expensive part isn't the problem, so that should at least give you some solace there. Why don't we check the chat room here? So, all right, so RAM and video, fan spin, no post, power, no fan spin. So let's see, what is the red LED on the motherboard flashing? Yeah, people are saying that really the power supply and unplug the fans. So let's take a look at whether or not maybe. So we unplugged this fan here. This fan is from that, from this thing. So we got that unplugged. This one here is coming out of there still. So let's grab this for a second and see if that does anything. Could be one of the fans. Anything could be shorting it out. So, all right, I'm going to look and see if there's anything on the motherboard blinking, everybody, because that's been something people have been suggesting. So. See, it comes up just for a second and it blinks off. So there's a red light that blinks and then it blinks right off and everything stops.
It is an LED motherboard, though.
It's a what?
It is an RGB motherboard,
okay.
So
it's going to have some light on it. So, yep, so we unplugged all the fans. It could be we got a bad motherboard. That's my gut is that might be what the issue is here.
oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody says give it a good whack. Yeah, this is funny. You know, I've been building PCs for a long time, and believe it or not, this is the first time that the system just didn't boot up when we got it going. So I think what we might do here is at some point maybe regroup and come back at this in a little while. I'm just going to reseat this power adapter here.
Yeah, we will.
Make sure that's there. And make sure that's connected. I checked all the connectors back to the power supply. Those are all in good shape. And it could very well be, everybody, that maybe the power supply is the culprit here, which means we'd have to take the whole thing apart again and get back on that. So let's try this one more time here and see what we get here. All right, so now we had a quick blink on the motherboard. And it's funny, it's not letting you turn it back on again. So clearly there's something shorting out in here that I think is really the cause of this. Yeah, we do have another power supply to try. So why don't we grab the other power supply? And what we'll do is connect things to it outside of the case. Maybe we'll slide it in and see if it shouldn't be too hard of a change. Is it a Corsair power supply also that you got? Or so hopefully the connectors are the same. I don't know. All right, so let's just redo the power supply here and see if that gets us anywhere. I'm pretty sure these cables are standard. And we did connect the CPU to the power supply. Yeah, we did that. We did all that.
Oh, I'll watch it.
Yep.
You popped off.
Oh, it's okay. I'm not touching the motherboard, so we'll be okay for a few minutes here. Oops, looks like I completely popped off there. Where's the, my thing is still connected somewhere. Oh, it's over there, underneath the table. See it? Right there, the clip, another clip. Okay, so. And we need the screwdriver so we can pull out that component there. Maybe we'll give us an excuse to put our overhead view up again. All right, so these are, you probably should just do all the cabling all over again, just so we're not screwing around with the wrong cables here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And people are enjoying the stream now that it's not working. Which is actually, I mean, it really is the troubleshooting process you have to go through, you know? So, and I think what I might do, rather than, if we have a bad motherboard here, you know, in the interest of time, maybe what we'll do is we'll set the power supply up outside of the computer and just kind of run things over. So I do need my screwdriver, though, the one that we use to install that. Is that where it is? Okay, perfect. And just so everybody's aware, I've got about another 45 minutes that I can do on this one before I got to call it quits because I got a meeting to go to tonight. But we'll see what we end up with. I think we can at least rule out the power supply here before we call it quits for the night. But yeah, well, this power supply has been sitting dormant for about 1.5 years in that basement. So it could be that, you know, it could be the power supply. I'm just glad that we ruled out the GPU, so that's been a good thing. Can you? I'm just going to put the. Can you get the bag for the GPU? So that's the motherboard one, right there. And I'm just going to put the GPU away, so that way we don't have any new problems after we do that. So let's put the GPU inside the bag here. There we go. Safe and sound in there. And we'll get the rest of the thing out of here. What really sucked, though, is to have to reassemble the whole computer. Or if we have to get the new motherboard to like redo the whole motherboard. All right.
The motherboard then.
Yeah. So just so everybody knows, we did connect all the power connectors to the right spot. So this thing is in the right, everything's in the right place here. It's just something is just not right on here, and we've got to troubleshoot our way through it.
I got insurance on everything.
Yeah, so that should help if anything does go bad. My gut here is that we've got a bad motherboard. It's not out of the realm of possibility that, you know, we didn't hook up something correctly. So we're gonna
have to clean off the CPU though, aren't we?
Well, that, you know, in the end, it's good that you got that thermal paste anyhow. So
yeah.
We just have to reapply the thermal paste. All I'm going to put this, oops, this thing over here for a minute. Okay, so now what I need from you is that power supply. And we're going to just hook this power supply up outside of the computer. So that way we can see exactly what's going on here. I like this power supply a little better than the one I was using because it's a little bit better marked. Yeah. So it looks like, you know, if we had a problem with the connectors, we'll get it right this time. So I don't think we did. So let's see what we got here. All right, so let's connect this side up here as the motherboard side. You want to monitor the chat and see if we get any good questions in there or some questions?
I got it.
I'm going to leave the GPU off of it here still. So what we're going to do is connect the fans back up. And I'm going to slide it in, though, just so we can get these cables to reach.
Someone said reset the BIOS using the motherboard jumper pins.
Yeah. We might have to try it all at some point. All right, so let's get the, this is the, oh, so we got that one. Okay, so let's go to the CPU connector next. CPU 2, CPU 2.
It's a gigabyte.
What's that?
No, they asked
That's what
what
the
the
motherboard
motherboard is.
This is the CPU cable. This is what makes it fun, is you got to go through all the troubleshooting here to figure it all out. So that is what we're going to do and get this thing working. So CPU 1, there's 2 cables here. CPU 2, so we're going to go CPU 1 here and put that into this guy right here. And if this comes up after this, then we know the power supply is
correct,
the issue.
Razor.
Okay, so we're going to unplug this for a second here. Well, we had nice cable management when we started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll fix it.
Yeah, we'll get it all fixed up. Things never go according to plan.
And people are saying it could be touching the metal case and shorting itself.
That's something that is a possibility. So I think if there could be some piece somewhere touching something, and that might be it. I did check all the standoffs, so everything was in the right spot there. So I think that's unlikely, but it's possible, and I've seen that before. But I do want to just try this real quick, and then after that, we will take the whole thing apart and maybe do this. Continue this again on another day.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wish I had time to go all night, because it's going to be bugging me now. Like, what the heck happened here?
Yeah.
All right, so we got the bare minimum connected here. We got CPU and the motherboard connected. We should probably start here and just see if we can get it to power up, and then we can connect up. Actually, we probably need to run the SATA power to it, though. Let's see. Let's get those just powered up real quick and see if we get anywhere else with it, and if not. And by the way, if I break anything, it's on me. Don't worry. So do not worry about your investment here.
I got it.
Same issue.
Motherboard.
Yep, so that is, I think, the verdict here. So there is something going on with the motherboard, and it is either a piece of metal touching it somewhere, or it's just a bad motherboard. And we could try to reseat the CPU also. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can try here to try to figure all this stuff out. The good news is I'm not smelling any smoke or anything burning, so if it is shorting out, it's definitely happening without damaging anything, at least from a visible standpoint here. So I think that is the next place we're going to go.
All right.
So the larger risk here is when the PSU maker decides to make the EPS and PCI connector identical, even though PCI 8-pin has a ground one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with this stuff. But a lot of folks are saying, yeah, to take the whole motherboard out. And I think that might be what we do in the sequel to this. Because what I do have is and I don't think we have time
The
for
test
this.
bench.
The test bench. We could try to do it real quick. I got a little bit of time here, so maybe why don't you go get that box? You know what it looks like?
No.
Oh, you didn't.
No.
You never saw it. Okay, so let me go find the test bench, and I got to disconnect the motherboard that's on there. But the good news is, I was thinking here, we will have to reseat the cooler on there because we have that. The cooler is connected. No, actually no, because it can come right out.
Okay.
It can come right out. We just gotta. We're gonna have to disconnect the radiator because it's all one piece.
Yeah.
So we need to disconnect the radiator, and if we do that, then we can pull the whole motherboard
Screwdriver.
right out. Yeah. So, but don't do it yet because we got to get the other motherboard off that test bench.
Yep.
So let me grab that real quick. Remember I said I lost my coffee?
Okay.
I found it. So we have the test bench here. So I'm going to go back over to the desk here where I've got some room, and we'll disconnect the motherboard that I have on here, and we're going to reconstruct this sucker. And look, there's my other screwdriver. It ended up in the box here too. Lost my coffee and my screwdriver. So everybody knows what I've got here. This is a test bench that we ran with a while ago. And what's nice about this is I've got the ability just to kind of put a motherboard on here and boot it up without having a lot of extra stuff there. So Cory, you know what we can do here? Let's clear off some room on the desk here. And I'll just disconnect this thing here, and we'll try to get that motherboard extracted. So let me put this down over here. But the good news is I think this is really a motherboard problem one way or the other.
Motherboard's burned out. I have a 4-year warranty on it. So
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the motherboard here from a cost standpoint. So let me grab, where's my...
Yeah, but now I'm going to have to spend, like, if it is that, I'm going to have to spend hours yelling at people on Newegg.
Yeah, you'll be talking to them on the phone for a while. But if it comes up here, then we've got some kind of short going on that, oops, that created some issues there. So let's move this out of the way here for a minute.
How would we fix it if you keep shorting it?
Well, what we need to do is when we pull it out is look and see if there's any, maybe there's a little riser that we missed or something that is creating an issue.
I hope it's something stupid like that.
Yeah, generally it usually is, because the motherboards tend to be pretty high quality. Can you bring that mat over, just put it over on the chair here? Generally the motherboards tend to be pretty decent, especially going with a name brand. So
Yeah, but
just put it on the chair here. That's
stuff
fine.
happens.
Stuff happens. And actually to some degree, for the viewers at home, this is kind of a good thing, because we're going to have to troubleshoot this and try to figure out.
We're actually gaining viewers.
Are we? What are we up to now? 164. Yeah, there's drama now. It's like Cory's money's on the line here. This is crazy. What's going on with this thing?
Oh, man.
I got to get rid of this computer because it's been sitting idle forever. So throw that here. I got one more screw somewhere on here. There it is. Yeah, I thought, hey, you know what? 45 minutes. We'll get this thing built. No problem. We'll be out of here.
Nothing. I just haven't had good luck with Newegg support.
The support isn't good?
No.
So what happens when you call them? You're not able to help you?
No, they're just really stubborn.
All right, so let's take this motherboard. I'm going to put this motherboard in this. Our work table here is getting very messy. So any more suggestions from the viewership? I'd love to hear if everyone's enjoying themselves so far. This could be an act of malpractice on my part, perhaps, but I'm thinking there's probably something going on with the motherboard here, because I feel like something just is not right here. It should be coming up. All right, so let's get everything disconnected from the motherboard side here. And you want to start wrenching on that. It's okay. Didn't hit the motherboard. We're good.
Yeah, missed the motherboard.
Missed the motherboard. We're fine. So is that the right size screwdriver? Or you need one smaller?
No, that's good.
So that disconnected. This disconnected. All right. So unplug this. I'll get this big honking case out of the way.
Linus moment.
What's that? A Linus moment?
Yeah, a lot of people keep likening this to Linus.
Well, it makes me feel good that he has the same problems that we have.
Exactly.
Although ours was not on purpose. We were supposed to make this look routine and easy. And maybe when we start pulling this board out, we'll have a there's your problem moment, and
oh yeah,
everything will be...
Building a computer is easy when it goes right.
Yeah, absolutely. And if not, we can pick this up tomorrow or figure out if it still dies. If the motherboard does not come up on this test bench,
then it's
definitely the motherboard. If it does, then we've got something going on with this case that it's interacting with that isn't going well. And we're gonna have to do some ballet here to make this work, because you and I have to lift this up in tandem because the radiator and the motherboard are connected to each other. All right. I'm not there yet. I gotta finish finding all my screws here.
Yeah, well, it's all disconnected when you're ready. So.
All right. I'll switch back to our view here.
Where'd you get? There you are. Oh, it's one of the washers. All right.
I'm glad I got that magnetic mat. So I got that idea for that mat when we had the Pulse sponsorship, and Joe came in. He had one of those mats. I was like, oh, it's so handy because you can put the screws down and they don't fall. They don't go away. They stay put. So that was really helpful to have that magnetic mat there. All right. Yeah, so if anyone's just tuning in, the computer is not working. And we've troubleshooted everything so far. So we've taken the video card out, we changed power supplies, we've done everything we can think of. So the last thing left here is to take the motherboard out and put it on my test bench here and see if that might be a better outcome for this system here. So we are just trying to work through some of these issues here, and once we get that figured out, we will hopefully have a booting computer here. All right, so something is still holding this in. Oops. Must be another screw somewhere then.
There we go.
Try to very easily ease it out of the motherboard case here. I'm thinking it's another screw
That
here,
probably
but
just took away from the view. Never mind.
what's that?
I'll leave that off.
There's something not wanting to let go on here. And I got all the screws out. I'm pretty sure I did. There's that post there. Might just be in there.
Leave that on.
Let's grab inside here to see if there's anything. There's like one screw here that is not letting go. I think it could just be because it's in the.
Yes, trust me, this is very painful to watch.
Yes. More so for us because we have to basically reverse all the work we did just a little while ago.
Reverse engineering.
Yeah. Reverse misengineering, right?
Oh, yeah. One thing I always remember is I didn't fail. I found 1,000 ways that didn't work.
Exactly. So we're going to troubleshoot this and try to figure out what's going on here. And there's got to be another screw that I missed because this motherboard is not loosening up. And there's nothing holding it in. There we go. Okay. All right. So I need you to grab that radiator. Okay, so I need you to grab onto the radiator here. Got it?
Oh.
Ooh. Cool. Yeah, it's not going to be an issue. So
What happened there?
I don't know. All right, so, okay, so we are clear. And I'm not seeing any standoffs that were interacting here, so we need to now, let's move this over here. I'll switch to the overhead view. And you want to walk over this way.
Wait, what about that?
Huh? That's the peg that goes in the
Oh,
middle.
that's the peg?
Yeah, so that was fine. And I need to line this up with here. And this one did require me to screw in some standoffs, so I need to make sure that we don't have any errant standoffs here that are going to impact things. So let me take a peek under here. Just hold on to that radiator. Okay, this two.
We know what we're doing, we promise.
Yeah, I sort of know what I'm doing. All right, so we got a bunch of standoffs here that I have to unscrew on this particular thing because this one has standoffs in different places. So let's get rid of this one, and we're going to move this one over here. All right, so I need to, this is going to be hard. All right, so we need to do this one over here. So we would have had an issue here if we had, we could even do, well, I'm just kind of nervous about having it just start up on its own without, so I'm just going to put this down here for 1 second. Standoffs all over the place. We need to find a safe place to put this. So let's, where's the box for the motherboard?
It's right there.
All right, so we're going to take this thing, oops, and we're going to put it inside of the box here. And we just need to make sure this stuff doesn't fall down. So you might want to just hold on to everything.
I got it.
You got it? So I need to redo, you got it?
Yep.
I got to redo all of these standoffs here to get this board properly mounted on this test bench here. So now I am starting to sweat, folks, because this is not going as designed, but we will figure it out. All right, now. That one's in the right spot, I think. All right, we should be good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 standoffs, which we should see when we are done with this. All right, so let's get it back over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so hold it steady there, my friend. We're going to have to find a place for that. If worse comes to worse, we could put on that other one. But, oops. Any words of wisdom? They're just waiting for like this whole thing to explode, right? That's the next step. Just looking at the right screw. I put the wrong screw in here now, so it's like, great. Come on, get out. Oops. Okay. I got the wrong screw in here. So it's going to be like... All right, gotta get this screw out of here. Where's that other screwdriver? I need my Leatherman, wherever that went. So, folks, it is. Yeah, people are talking about removing this. There's a lot of things that we can try here. So the big thing we're going to do first here is get this motherboard reseated onto this platform here, and if it boots up on here, then we know we don't have a motherboard problem, and we can start looking at reassembling this tomorrow. If it doesn't work on here, then we definitely have another issue that we're going to have to pursue with Newegg on the motherboard itself. This is probably the most challenging PC build now I've ever done, because usually we don't have these issues. Do we have a place we can put this the radiator without you having to hold it when we boot it up?
Huh?
We have a place we can put the radiator so you don't have to hold it the whole time? I don't want to have you dropping it or something. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we can probably just drop it.
All right, so we're going to connect up power. And if it doesn't boot this time, folks, we got ourselves probably a bad motherboard, but I will try the CMOS thing because somebody suggested we try that. So we will look at that, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we've got all those pieces in there. We've got the motherboard power now. We're just going to connect the power supply sitting in situ here and see what happens with this. How much was this motherboard, incidentally? Do you have a price on it? Just curious for what the... All right.
This was, let's see. Sorry. Like just over $100.
Okay, so this is not an expensive motherboard if we have to get another one. But I don't think we caused this.
No, we didn't.
If it is, in fact, that. Okay, so I'm going to pop the power supply in here. Now, when I flick the switch, one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to blow up, or we're going to see it boot. And neither has occurred. This is plugged in, right? All right, so let me run the, there's a power switch on this test bench, so let me run that real quick. And we'll get that tried out real quick here. So power, reset switch, power LED power switch.
CPU fan port needs to be coupled. Yeah, we didn't cause this.
Yeah, all right, here we go. Power supply, on. Same thing. See?
Motherboard's dead.
Yeah, most likely the motherboard. So one thing to check, though, is let's look at these fan connectors on here. Because the only thing left now that's the same is the CPU cooler and the CPU itself. So it could be that we have the CPU installed incorrectly, but I'm doubting
That's
that
unlikely.
because it only goes in one way. So, and that sucker's in there. So, I just want to check.
Is there a CPU plug in? Yeah.
Yeah. So CPU plug is in. Power is in. This is a fan connector that I've disconnected now, just for the heck of it, which presumably powers these fans. And there's nothing else connected to this motherboard. So let us try it one more time. Yeah. So let's see what anybody says, because they can see the lights blinking on it, I think. So
We already tried removing one RAM.
yeah, we did the RAM already. We did the GPU. We've done everything.
People are really saying try rebooting BIOS.
By doing what? Like taking the battery out here?
I wouldn't touch that
Yeah.
yet.
But you know what? That was not in.
You're kidding me.
Let's see. If this is it, I'm going to totally just quit right now. I'm going to just shut the channel down. That'll be the end of what we do. I was hopeful there for a minute, but yeah. So we're getting a blinking light. Okay, so this is. Hang on, let's try it again here. There's a light here, and it's giving me. So it could very well be the CPU. So let's see here. Let me try this again. It'll work itself out here.
There are pins on the motherboard to reset the BIOS. Look in the manual.
Okay. So we'll try that next.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm getting a blinking light by the CPU. So it could be something with the CPU connection here. So, all right, one last thing to try here before we call it quits is let's take off the heatsink and see if we have to do this either way. If it's a bad motherboard. So I am getting a blinking light on the CPU because there's an indicator here. There's 4.
Got a thing of thermal paste over there.
Yeah. So if we need to, we can do that. So let's just unscrew this thing. I don't want to run it without a fan, but I just want to see if we reseat that CPU. And when we come back to this, we can reapply the thermal paste, perhaps.
Yeah. All we'll need is like a small dot of it now. So.
Yeah. But if we have, I don't think if we don't wipe it off, it'll be good enough just to try it and reseat this thing and just see if it. Whoa, just hold on to that for me, Way. We do not want to have a tragedy here. Anybody talk about the CPU light in there?
Oh, you can reset the BIOS by removing the battery.
Okay. So we'll do that after we take a look at the CPU here and just see if there's something going on with that. We got a little dent on the radiator, but I don't think that's going to really cause you any issues.
No.
So all right, so just hold that. We still got a good amount of thermal paste on there, so I think we're probably going to be okay. But let me just check and make sure.
Yeah, we are pretty fine.
CPU is okay. Let me make sure I'm clipped on. No, I'm not. Here. Yeah, that CPU is incorrectly. Every slot is in the right spot. That is right. Can only go in this way. So it is good there.
So I'm going to have to pack up this motherboard and send it back.
Yes, I believe that is going to be our path here. So
now also, I got to remember what cables came with the motherboard.
that's right. I can help you with that. We'll be able to. But we're not done yet because this could.
Yeah.
And
could end positively.
yeah, let me just do something here. Real
Yeah. Yeah, we're all pretty much thinking it's a dead motherboard.
Yeah, hold the thing. Let's reconnect this sucker up real quick and see if this is going to do it. And if not, we're going to have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow to send all this junk back to where it came from. Let's see.
Yeah.
But better to have a dead motherboard than a dead GPU from somebody you bought it from. Where did you get it from? On eBay? Was that where you had to get it from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Why did the radiator get so dented up?
I don't. They dent really easily.
I'm sure it's
Yeah.
fine.
And it must have happened when we were installing it? I don't know. Did you notice it inside the case before like that or no?
No. It's fine though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hand tighten these for now. Well, this was like a totally like anticlimactic live stream, but I hope people got something out of it because we certainly did our due diligence troubleshooting this.
Not a Denmobo BIOS reset should take care of it.
All right, so let's do that next.
All right, yeah, we're definitely gonna give that a try next.
So they said we can just pop the battery out and that'll be enough?
I'd go with the pins.
Okay, so we'll check that next.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of fiddling with the battery.
And you know what it could be? This motherboard you checked was okay with KB Lake, right? This motherboard was okay with KB Lake processors?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been around for a while, so it's not a...
Definitely should be.
Yeah, so well, sometimes they have the slot's the same, or the socket's the same, but the processors aren't. So, because I think the chip...
7th gen, 6th gen processors.
Yeah, so that should be fine. That's 7th gen, yeah. It should work fine with it. All right, so let's screw that in, and now I'm going to go find...
LGA, yeah, LGA 1151, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to find the motherboard manual here. Where did the motherboard manual go? I'm not asking you to move, because I don't want you dropping anything here. Let me find the motherboard manual. Here it is, over here. Well, I appreciate everybody sticking around with us. This has not been, this did not go as we anticipated it would go.
Viewers still going up.
Yeah, well, it's good because, we're having trouble here. This is like, this is what it's all about when you're doing this kind of stuff because sometimes people want, this is actually, I think, an important point to bring up here. Let me just switch to our stand-up camera here.
Short them out for a few seconds.
So, one of the things with this is that, people say, oh, you can build a PC for less than you can buy one configured, which is definitely true, but sometimes this happens, and you got to figure out, like, what the heck is going on? What's the cause of this? Okay, so the battery provides power to keep the values such as BIOS configurations, time, and information the CMOS and the computer is turned off. Replace the battery and the battery voltage drops below a certain level. You may clear the CMOS values by removing the battery. So I'm going to take the easy step here first. Let's just try to take the battery out. And then if that doesn't work, we'll look for the pins. So we'll take that battery out of there, let it sit out for a second. And I will reconnect power up here in a second. We'll see if this does it. And if this doesn't work, then we'll go about...
You're not grounded anymore, Valerie.
Oh. Myself on here. All right, so let's put that back in now. All right. Okay, so we did that attempt. And all right, you ready?
Yep.
Nope, same issue. All right, so we'll switch it off now, and let's find the manual for F panel, trusted platform, clear CMOS jumper. Okay, so that is jumper number 20. Use this jumper to clear the BIOS configuration and reset the CMOS values to factory defaults. And that is number 20 here on the motherboard. So let's look for jumper number 20. Fan 3, pump, CPU fan. That. So they don't actually give you a map as to where it is located. You have a Thunderbolt connector. Oh, you have to get an add-on card for that. Well, actually, you're not going to have anything on this motherboard at the moment, but system fan, CPU fan. Where is jumper number 20? There's the Thunderbolt connector, so it must be somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm thinking it might be this one right here. Yeah, clear CMOS is right there. So I need to go find a jumper to put into that real quick. So let me see if I've got one, perhaps.
Look on page 4.
What's that?
Someone said look on page 4.
On page 4? Well, I found it. I just have to get a jumper. Do you have, where's that motherboard bag of stuff? There should be a jumper somewhere in one of these things.
That's where we put it. Oh, here.
Okay, let's see. Let's,
No, the graphics card was.
yeah, we tried that part too, so we're down.
Graphics card is fine. We've confirmed everything else from what we can see is fine, aside from.
Yeah, it's just that one last thing. So I gotta find a jumper now to jump that. Here, maybe.
Yeah, the motherboard was bought on Newegg, so.
See, it's hard to find jumpers these days.
Yeah.
Nothing has jumpers on it, but I do know where I can find one. I'm assuming chat room that I could probably just use a paper clip to short that jumper, but I'm kind of reluctant to do that.
Should we use a paper clip? Like, does anyone have any experience?
I'm going to grab I have a jumper. I know where I can get a jumper from. Bear with me for 1 second here. We're going to extract a jumper from Mr. Apple IIgs over here.
All right.
And then I'll know it's going to work.
You're taking a jumper out the old computers.
I had one in here. You kidding me? I don't have a jumper in this thing either?
Might be going screwdriver.
All right, let me go find a jumper. I'm sure I've got one. Let me check on this.
If you can't, a lot of people are just saying screwdriver.
Yeah, I could probably throw something in there. I don't think I have a screwdriver small enough though to fit in there, so I'd rather just get a proper jumper here and not damage anything, especially if we're doing a live stream here. Some more zip ties for you.
Perfect.
All right, let me go in the back and look for a jumper. Everybody sit tight for a second. I will find a jumper back here.
All right.
Oops.
First game I'm gonna play, Arma 3. Definitely Arma 3. Or Max Payne 3. Both games that I love. I have an i7, an i7-77, so, it's a good little processor. We tried taking out the battery, didn't work.
All right, last thing before we declare this sucker dead.
What's really a recap on what's happening?
You can rewind and see.
Yeah.
So
we've tried everything, and we're assuming the motherboard is dead.
So we're trying one last thing here, which is to put a jumper on our on pins 20 here to reset the CMOS. We did pull the battery on it. Jumper's not going to work. We did pull the battery on it, and that didn't seem to work. So we are now putting a jumper on this to reset it manually.
You don't think the jumper's going to work?
What's that? I think we're going to be okay. It's shorted now. Let me kill power to this thing again. Yeah. So the jumper did not seem to do anything either. So I think we're going to send this sucker back to where it came, and see if we can regroup on this one. Every once in a while, stuff happens, and this is one of those times that
DDR4.
Yeah. One more time here. Yeah, we're getting the same problem here. The last thing I can think of is like putting that i3 processor in there and see if that does it. But I think we're at, there's we're down to the.
I doubt it's the processor.
Yeah, it's not the RAM. It's not the RAM. Unless you got 2 bad sticks of RAM. Let me, just for the hell of it, let's do that real quick.
I mean, I have had that RAM sitting around for a while.
This
maybe.
RAM? Yeah. This is DDR4, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to pull this stuff out here for a second. Now, I got to make sure that this...
The final test to determine if it's truly the motherboard.
So I got some RAM here. This is G-Skill.
That's what's in my old
DDR4. So theoretically, wouldn't it be a hoot if this was what did it? All right, let's pop this stuff in real quick and see what happens here. All right. Nope. Same thing. Let's try it in this other one. Let's try it in the top one here just for the heck of it.
Next time we're definitely setting or testing outside before we set up the whole computer.
Yeah.
I really hope it's not the processor.
Yeah, I don't. Where'd you get the processor from?
I got it from PC Outlet.
Okay. The processor was brand new, so I don't think it was, same exact problem we've had before. So I think we are going to kind of leave it here at the moment. And sometimes when you build a PC, it just doesn't work. And we narrowed it down to a whole bunch of different things, but we think the motherboard is the problem here.
We hit 200 viewers.
We did hit 200 viewers, which is good. Let me just put this back in where it belongs here. And what we're going to do next here is we're going to have an RMA issued on the motherboard, because I really think that's our problem. I've never seen a bad CPU before. It's possible, but I think we're going to do that. What I may try, though, later tomorrow is I might try to just pop in the i3 that I've got on that test bench computer just to see if maybe it is a CPU. So we might try that. And if not, then let me see how hard it would be to get that CPU out from under there. Yeah, that thing's in there pretty good. So I think I might try that. Maybe we'll try that tomorrow and just see if that gives us any indicator of what's going on here. But my gut on this one is we've got ourselves a bad motherboard. So I'd love to hear what other people's thoughts are on this one. But every once in a while, things don't go as planned, and this is one of those times. So I think that is that. Let me see what else is going on in the chat here, and maybe Cory can get in touch with Newegg tonight and see if they can do a new motherboard there. We checked. We have checked everything for sure. So that is it. And I do want to reiterate one point I made a little earlier, just in case people are coming in fresh here, is that this is when people say, "Oh, I can build this for less than I can buy it assembled." 90% of the time that I've built a PC, everything's come up and was working right off the bat. This time, we didn't have that happen. So occasionally things happen, and this is one of those times where stuff just didn't work right. So what we're going to do is I might come back on tomorrow, depending on my schedule tomorrow, but we might try to just swap out the CPU and see if it is the processor. If it is, obviously, then we will take care of the CPU versus the processor. But if not, what we'll do is probably return the motherboard and go on from there. So I think we're going to sign off on this one. We gave it our good college try. I got a bummed out Cory here because I was hoping to get this thing booted up too. He was excited to
that's fine.
get gaming on it this weekend, but there is hope. So we'll
get it done.
We'll get it done. So that's going to do it for now, everybody. But I want to thank you all for all of your suggestions to try to get this thing figured out. And in this case, we just couldn't get it done. It just didn't work. So we will figure it out from there. So thank you all for having stuck with us the whole time. I want to thank our super chatters, who include John Campbell, Aiden Murphy, and Zam. And this was a great time, too, for all of you to meet Cory, who, by the way, is funded through your support of the channel. So I want to thank you all for that. And until then, I guess, and I'd love to stay on and keep doing this, guys, but I've got a meeting to go to tonight. As you all know, I'm on the school board, and I got a budget meeting tonight I have to get to. So I've got to wrap this up. I got to feed the family and head over to that. So unfortunately, I would keep going if I could, but we're going to pick this back up tomorrow. If I do have some more things to try, what I'll do is we'll kick on live again tomorrow sometime. We'll try to do that, and we'll go from there. So until then, sorry everybody, we didn't have a complete build, but you can see what the troubleshooting process is, and I will keep you all posted as to where we end up. And I'm going to call it quits for now, but I want to thank you all for tuning in, and let's keep the conversation going. Talk to you in a little bit.